Well, good evening to all politics and local. Number one hip hop political show in America and around the world. I'm overseer, aka the pastor in the hood, Ali, and I welcome you here tonight as you come on board for the disciples. I'm here with our producer, Ed Riley. What's up, brother Ed?
Hey, what's good, brother Ali? I'm good, brother.
I'm just glad to be on, glad to be alive. And another night with the disciples.
That's right, brother. Yep. So if it's of course y'all know if it is the fourth Friday, y'all know it is time for the disciples. So we're excited, of course, as always, to have Pastor Ali with us and Reverend Roundtree and Brother Minister Abdul-Haqq with us. So we're excited about that. That's up first. And then, of course, y'all know that we've got a dynamic show that's going to come up at 7 o'clock. Brother Zaid, you want to speak to that? What's going to happen at 7? And bring your camera down, Zaid. All we can see is the top of your head, my brother. There
There
you
you
go.
go.
There you go.
Peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Peace,
Like,
peace, brother.
what's up? What's up?
Brother Ed, how you doing, brother? Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you, brother. Long time no see. I just
Yeah.
brother Ali just gave the introduction for y'all. So we're just gonna give the rundown. Of course, coming up at 7 to 8, we're gonna talk about do a round table with some folks, and we're gonna talk a little bit about Haiti tonight, and try to delve into it with some people on the ground. Uh, and then, of course, at 8, Larry Hamm, the chairman of the People's Organization for Progress, is going to come through. And then he's going to talk about this 67-mile walk that he's doing for justice. So we're going to get into that conversation tonight as well. And then, of course, from 8:30 to 9, we're going to do a hip-hop roundup with DJ Rhino, talk about everything going on in hip-hop. So, of course, I'm just here for the ride with y'all. So, of course, it's y'all show. So I'm going to throw it to you and Brother Ali, as we wait for Roundtree to join us.
Thank you, brother Ed. Once again, my name is Brother Abdul-Haqq Muhammad. I'm the student minister of the Honorable Minister Louise Farrakhan for the Muhammad Mosque of Islam, number 25, which is located here in the city of Newark, New Jersey. As always, I'm deeply grateful and highly honored for this privilege and this pleasure to be with each and every one of you over these sacred airwaves. I have with me another week my illustrious brother, friend, stalwart for justice. Uh, he really needs no introduction, but just for the sake, of the show, brother Ali.
Well, grace and peace be unto you. Grace and peace from God our Father, Lord Jesus Christ. Good to be here.
Yes, sir. We're waiting for our esteemed sister and friend, another colleague, Reverend Roundtree, who's no stranger to many of the brothers and the sisters who are watching us via Facebook or Instagram. We know that she's always on the front lines for justice for our people. Many of us know her to be very kind, to be very humble, to be very stern when it comes to uplifting God and fighting for the cause of liberation, freedom, justice, and equality. So today there's so much going on in the world, nationally as well as internationally. We know it's been all over the news as of late. Yesterday, the day before yesterday, we've seen many activists talking about it. Uh, Brother Al Sharpton, Jamal Bryan, Tamika Mallory, my son, Brother Ed, I'm sure you are familiar with it. You just mentioned it as it relates to what's going on with our brothers and sisters from Haiti and what's happening at the border. We've seen those terrifying images of, white men on horseback with whips trying to force many of our brothers and sisters in various directions. Many of our people have been outraged at those images. Brother Ali, what are your thoughts on that, dear brother?
Very, very, very troublesome. Very troublesome. I saw the footage over and over and over again, and it's very troublesome that you're treating people like animals. All they're trying to do is to get to a better way of life. They're trying to cross the border like so many others, but they're not given the same respect and the same type of compassion that, per se, Afghanistan was given, so to speak, even though they had trouble getting into, but that was just from their own. But here it is, they were on horses. I mean, chasing down, you got children, you got families and all them. All they're trying to do is get to a better way of life. So it's very disturbing, very upsetting that we would see this in 2021 in the United States of America.
Yes, sir. We know many people have been talking about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, their lack of response as it relates to what we saw. Brother Ed, what are your thoughts on that, dear brother? We know that Biden and Harris have been getting the brunt of the blame, as they should. So, what are your thoughts on that, Brother Ed?
Well, I think that rightly so, man. I think that in order for that to be corrected, it's going to take a political decision, right? And I think that legally, man, I think that these folks have a right, like everybody else, to come and apply for asylum in the United States. And I think what's what's interesting is that these folks have not been back in Haiti in about a decade. So they don't, I mean, for the most part, they haven't been there for quite a while. And of course, now with all the new happenings, with of course the president being assassinated, the hurricane that occurred. So it's all kind of stuff that's going on. And so for them, it's like going back to a complete and utter war zone. I mean, for them, and the fact is that what's interesting is that there were women and children, as you all know, that the dreamers, their parents were sent back, but the kids were allowed to stay, right? So why weren't the kids allowed to stay if they were sending these adults back? Why weren't the kids allowed to stay, and then at least have an opportunity to see if they had family members here to try to connect them with family members? No, what they were doing is that they were sending everybody back, and so I mean, I think like Ali said, that was extremely troubling. But for us, and I guess the question I got for you all is the of course the historical connections to that as it relates to Black folks in terms of what has happened to us in our sojourn here in America. So those are our people, and remember, Wycliffe said this some years ago. He said that yeah, they may be Haitians in a country called Haiti, but the fact is that we all are African people, and the common denominator, as you all know, is the fact that we all are Black. So there's no difference in those brothers and sisters and us. We might be Americans, but remember that was not by choice; that was by force on us.
Right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Brother Zaid, your thoughts on this? I know you are always on the front line for freedom, justice, and equality for our people, locally here in New Jersey, North, all
I
over
don't
the
see
tri-state.
Zaid, so I'm
Oh,
not sure if
he
he's
not
on.
on. I
I don't
know,
see him.
brother. I know, brother Zaid is very passionate, like myself, yourself, and Pastor Ali, in terms of our people and what has been done to us and what we need to do to get out of this quagmire we're in. Brother Ed, you talked about history, and we
Right.
know the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us that quote that we often hear attributed to Malcolm, where he said that history is all of our studies, the most attractive and best qualified to reward our research,
Right.
as it develops the springs and motives of human actions, which displays the consequences of circumstances, which operates most powerfully on the destinies of the human being. Then he said that the wise man or woman is the one who has made a careful study of the past events of ancient and modern history, because the knowledge of the future is judged by the knowledge of the past. So if you don't know what was, you can't know what is, and you'll be ill prepared for what is yet to come. So I think that when we see these type of images that we saw, we can become very histrionic, meaning we can become very emotional. Why? Because we don't know our history as we should know it, as it relates to what really and truly happened to Black people here in this country. You
That's
see, the
right.
Honorable Elijah Muhammad have taught us that for 300 years of slavery, we were lashed, beaten, and killed, given no education, reared and cared for like the slave master, stock, horses, cows, and other domestic animals. He said the parents of the children were torn away from their children, and our children were sold to different plantation owners. We are taught that when the children used to cry, that the slave master would take a piece of swine fat dip it in molasses and give it to the children to suck. And he used to call this a sugar tit. Well, these are just some of the small things that happen, because we know the transatlantic slave trade, what happened when they kidnapped us from our homeland and then brought us to America. That treacherous sojourn, just being on those waters, and how some of us committed suicide, or how they would throw some of us off overboard the ships. And this is our history. And when we see what we saw at the border, it just triggers what's naturally in us, because scientists have discovered new science, what they call epigenetics, where they say that trauma is passed down biologically or through the DNA. So even though as a people we may not know all that we could and should know as it relates to our history, it's in our genetics, it's in our DNA. You understand? It's just naturally in us, because what we've been through and what we are continuing to go through. So when we see what happened, we should not be surprised. But what we should do is be upset, not just with Biden or Harris, but with ourselves. Because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, along with Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Booker T. Washington, so many great leaders and teachers have stood up in America and taught us what it is that we must do for ourselves or suffer the consequences. But every time we went to make a step towards freedom, our open enemy would put a pacifier in our mouth. And then we would think that times are good and things are better. But from those images, we see that times have not changed and things are not that much better. So we must begin to make an agonizing reappraisal of our condition and what it is that we must really do so that we can provide a future for us and our children. So, Brother Zaid, I was talking to Brother Ed and Pastor Ali. Brother Ed brought up history, and I just wanted to know, what were your thoughts in terms of those treacherous and troublesome images that we saw at the border?
Can y'all hear me all right?
Yes,
Yep,
sir. We
we
hear you
got
there,
you.
brother.
I was having some connection issues, and I hope I don't sound terribly redundant, but I'll just go right to how I feel, how I felt, and how I wish I was in a different place. Meaning that if ever I wanted to do an armed mission in the tradition of the Black Panther Party, it is now in response to what we all saw on that Mexican border. An armed mission.
I hear you.
That's how I felt.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, definitely we understand, Brother Zaid, and many of our people are outraged. And again, as we wrangled Brother Ed on this show, we went back and forth during the election season, and we were talking about Biden or Trump, and the controversy that always ensues among
Kamala
Black
with the
people.
nerve talk about don't come.
Yeah, Sister
Don't
Kamala.
come. She came.
Yeah, I mean,
It was taken care of.
We wrangled Brother Ed and Pastor Ali and Brother Zaid. We went back and forth in terms of Trump and Biden, and what should Black people do and who should we vote for. And many of our people now are saying via the internet, various interviews, that Biden is everything that we thought Trump was. And we have always heard about how the Republicans and the Democrat, they are the same wings, or two different wings on the same bird. So again, I think that we are always constantly putting our hope and our love into those who have traditionally opposed us and used us. And I know we have a good heart, because we are people after God, and we are very forgiving, not toward one another, but towards those who have been our tormentors, our slave masters, and our oppressors. Joe Biden did not earn our vote. He never apologized for the draconian crime bill that he orchestrated in 1994. He never apologized. He never came and asked Black folks for forgiveness. No, he with arrogance and with ego, he said, if you don't vote for me, you not Black. So again, now the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan have taught us that sometimes you get the leadership that you deserve, and it hurts me to say that. But when are we going to wake up to the reality of those who have been our oppressor and our tormentor, not for 1 year, not for 2 years, but for 465 years since we've been in this country? We have caught nothing but hell, painstakingly hell. And with each election, or with each president that we vote for, it seems to not get better, but get worse. It may get better for a few of us, but the masses of our people continue to suffer. So we got to wake up now or suffer the consequences. So I see our sister, Reverend Roundtree, is on. You know, we talking about Haiti and, you know, those troublesome
My
images that we
Lord.
saw at the border. And I want to add this also. Brother Ed, Pastor Ali, and Brother Zayed, Reverend Roundtree, did you see the press conference that Reverend Al Sharpton, Jamal Bryan, along with several others had?
Yes.
Did you
Yes.
see it, Brother Ed, Pastor
No,
Ali?
I didn't see
I
that.
did not.
I didn't see it.
And
I
I
saw
will get
the
into why I
pictures,
didn't
and
bother.
Pastor
I
Jamal
actually
said it
saw
was the
Al
most.
Sharpton's comments on it to actually say that I saw the press conference. No, I did not. But I'm still stuck. First of all, good evening, everyone. I was having some
Hey,
technical difficulties. I like doing this from my office, and something was going on with my computer. And I said, the devil is a liar. I'm not
That
going to
he
spend
is.
30 minutes, Baba, trying to get in the show. I'll just go to my other device. I got all kinds of devices, but I want to be on the big screen so I can look at the minister, because I've been missing the minister. Baba, I just saw you last week. And Pastor Ali, I always am honored to be in your presence. What portion I caught of what you're saying, Minister, I was talking to my son yesterday morning, and I'm still dealing with the fact that those pictures,
the footage.
we can talk about a whole lot of things, and we have to hold Miss America accountable and those who run America, or that sit at the helm. But I was praying for a flag raising earlier this week for Honduras after those pictures were exposed. And I said, while we here in Newark celebrate all of these cultures and are free to raise these flags for our different cultures in this city being a sanctuary city, we really not free, Minister. Because how can we celebrate? And yes, we can thank God that we're able to do these things because of the leadership we have with Mayor Baraka, but it was painful. It's the mixed emotions, my brothers, that I have over praying over a celebration at the same time. Whips, horses, people running for their lives, our children. They're our children. They're in Haiti, but they're our babies. I'm not too anxious to jump on everyone's bandwagon of platforms and what they think we should not do. We learn the difference of right and wrong at a very early age. We know what yes and no means at a very early age. So that's why there's no medium with me. It's either yes or no. It's no, well, maybe, or maybe we'll address this later, or either you're going to do right by us, America, or you're not. And what's going on down in Washington and all of these other things that are being said, and all of these other leaders that have so much to say, either you're going to do right by us or you're not. It doesn't take 6 months to determine what you're going to do if you want to do the right thing. You're either going to do it or you're not. So to your point about people in platforms and press conferences, I told some veterans the other day, Minister, last night, we were in a meeting for 2 hours talking about the services that the females can't get after serving, and some, when they've come out, they couldn't even go to an OBGYN because for whatever reason, whatever services that they were entitled to, that they couldn't get the medical coverage. I said, we're not going to sit here for 2 hours and talk about what's wrong. We've already found out what's wrong. We want to know what the solution is and what we're going to do, or what we can do to help them make this thing right.
Well,
we can talk about what's wrong all night on this show. It's not even enough hours. We only got an hour. We don't even have that now. We have, what, 40 minutes
We got
left?
to get delivered from the sugar tick.
yeah, I think that I'm adding in reference to the press conference. If you all haven't seen it, please, Brother Ed, Pastor Ali, Reverend Roundtree, Brother Zaid, go on and watch it. And the reason that Jamal Bryant shared it, because he said that it was the most disrespectful press conference that he ever been a part of. I mean, you have to get the transcribed version of what Reverend Al Sharpton said, because you couldn't hear him. I mean, the people were yelling at them, talking over them, telling them to leave. We don't want you here. Texas is not racist. You are a race hater. Go home. You literally could not hear Reverend Al Sharpton. I mean, he was steadfast. He continued to talk to try to get his point across, but you could not hear him. I mean, the people were heckling him that bad, and they were that disrespectful that you could not hear anything that Reverend Al Sharpton said. So in order to hear what he said, or at least the version that Jamal Bryant showed, it's not like you can hear him a little bit and faintly in the back, you can hear the people yelling. No, they were clearly yelling over him so that he could not be heard. But again, it speaks to our point as it relates to what you're saying, Reverend Roundtree, with this white arrogance. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan calls it the Cronus complex that the Caucasian instinctively has, that he has to be in charge, he has to rule. It's just innately in him. And it's nothing that you and I can do. When Obama was exalted to the highest office in this land, even as the President of the United States, the amount of disrespect that him and his wife and his beautiful family suffered as the President of the United States by those in Congress, from the Republicans to the Democrat, it shows that it's something innately wrong with those group of people, or that segment of people, who cannot respect a man for his brilliance, his intelligence, his character. All they see is color. And I've said it on this show before, and I'll say it again, that the mindset that the founding fathers had is written, it's documented. Because again, Zaid, you know this quote all too well during the Dred Scott decision. And I mean, this is like written law and unwritten law where black folks are concerned. So you have to keep this quote or this statement in the context of what we see happening at the border. When
The
the
black
Supreme
man has
Justice,
no rights that the white man is bound to respect.
that the white man is bound to respect. It said the slaves or their descendants have no rights which any white man is bound to respect. You can take them to court. I mean, you can outwit them. You can out-argue them. And then you know what they'll say, as President Roosevelt said to, what's our brother name? Brother Zaid, Brother Ed, when he was talking about going to Washington to march for jobs and justice. A. Philip Randolph, he said, I know that what you are saying is right. But he charged A. Philip Randolph. He said, now make me do it.
That's right, son. That's right.
We know you right. We know your cry for justice is right. We know that we wrong. I mean, they know the Bible. They know the prophecies better than we do. They know in Genesis 15:13, where God said, know of a surety that thy seed will be estranged in the land that is not theirs, shall serve them, shall afflict them 400 years, and also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance. They knew the law of reciprocity. They knew the law of justice. That's why, again, Thomas Jefferson said, I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just and that his justice cannot sleep lying down forever. George Washington said, I pray for it on the scores of human dignity, that nothing but the rooting out of slavery can perpetuate the existence of our union. Abraham Lincoln said, I see in the near future a crisis approaching that unnerves me and causes me to tremble for the safety of my country. So the founding fathers knew the scripture. They knew Obadiah 1:15, Reverend.
That's right.
As thou hast done, so shall it be done unto thee. They knew all of this, and they knew that a time would come that the oppressed and those that they had kidnapped from their homes, those that they had robbed and spoiled, as is written of in Isaiah, they knew that at a certain time that particular people, a deliverer would rise from among them. They knew this, and they know it today. But yet they refused to give us justice. We seen what happened with the young brother that was missing in Illinois. He got no media coverage.
None whatsoever.
He got no media coverage. The mother, had to force
and he was found.
Yeah, had and you know,
One little article, he was
it
found
hurts
dead.
our heart. He found in the river in Illinois, but he had no media coverage. Yet and still, we have all the media coverage for the Caucasian woman. It's still going on today about where she at, where's the boyfriend. I mean, and this has been again the modus operandi, the routine practice of this country. And it's not that we're going to lay down and we're going to cry and say, woe is us. No. But again, we have to speak truth to power and talk about what was so that we can be more familiar with what is and what is yet to come. And this is why Carter G. Woodson said, if a race have no history, if it has no worthwhile tradition, it becomes a negligible fact in the thought of the world, and it stands in danger of being exterminated. I'm going to close on this, and I'm going to let you have it, Pastor Ali. But I pray
You rocking and rolling. You rocking and rolling.
I pray that what we saw at the border would quicken the spirit of our young people here in the city of North, in New York City, in Irvington, and East Orange, and all of these urban areas, to say, you know what, man, look at what's being done to us. That brother that live up the street, he's not my enemy. He's not oppressing me. He's not opposing me. He's not trying to do me no real unjust harm, but we are just in a circumstance, in a situation that none of us know the root of, but we are stuck here and we're at each other's throat. So I pray that those images will inspire our young people to want to put down these ghost guns, as they call them, to stop wanting to kill each other and shoot innocent women and babies and drive-by shootings. I pray that that image will wake us up, not to complain, Reverend Roundtree, Brother Zaid, not to complain and talk about, look what they're doing to us, because they've always done what they're doing to us. But I pray it will wake us up that we could want to unite and we can put aside our petty differences and our disagreements and stand up so that our unity will force them to have to respect us. See, the only reason that they did that to our brothers and sisters in Haiti is because they felt that they could do it and there would not be an appropriate response.
They thought they could get away with it.
They thought they can get away with it. And truth be told, brother Zaid, in a sense, they have gotten away with it. Because every time
they have gotten away with it. Ain't no thought.
Well, let me say this. You know what? Let me recant that, because the Honorable Minister Louis Farad kind of taught us from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that justice wakes up with you and justice lies down with you. So you can never escape the law of justice. You can never escape it. Even if you think you've gotten away, he who kills by the sword will die.
That's right. It's coming back.
And if you don't die, then God says he will curse your seed. So it says in Isaiah 14:21, I want to warn America. And I'm telling you, America, that all you doing is making it bad for your future children. Because God said in Isaiah 14:21, prepare slaughter for the children, for the iniquities of their fathers. So even though you may think that you are getting away, did you not think that there is a God who holding and weighing your kingdom in the balance as he did Babylon with Nebuchadnezzar? Did you not think that God would be on the side of the oppressed? That God would be on the side of the downtrodden, as he said he would choose the rejected and
Boy, you talking right.
See, God has chosen us, and you know that we are God's choice. And you are really envious that God would choose us, as you was envious of the children of Israel when Moses was leading them out of Egypt. You are really envious of our future and what God has promised us. And you know our promise better than we know our promise. So what you do, you figure that you're going to continue to treat us unjustly, but oh, America, I'm telling you, what you see happening on the West Coast with the fires, on the East Coast with the floods, God is after America.
Judgment is here.
What you have done to us and what you continue to do to us. So if you keep pushing the hand of God, then God is going to keep continuing to respond. And I know many of our people who talk God, we really don't think that there is a God in heaven who's watching it and listening. So America, you're going to be called to the table, and black people, we ain't getting away neither. Because if we think that the killing of innocent women and children is not going to go unanswered, we all going to have to answer. For every deed has a consequence. I'm sorry, brothers and sisters.
That's good. That's good, Minister. That's good.
I'm
Listen,
sorry.
while you're doing all your quotes from our dear forefathers and all of those great men,
That
we
boy
lost them.
sounds something like Louis Farrakhan and Mumia Abu Jamal put together.
Baba, listen,
sorry,
hold
brother.
on. Listen, but I got a quote from a man who I know y'all know too well. Some of y'all live to see this one. And his name is Dieury Dumas. And he said, from the slave ship to citizenship, we all faced a lot of bullshit. I said, shit, y'all. SHIP. All right. I
know
want
what
to
you
say the Reverend was on All Politics and Local, the #1 hip hop. From the slave ship to citizenship, we have all faced a lot of bullshit, and we still are facing it.
Yep. Yes, indeed.
To Hawk's point, I have to say this too, because and I agree with him almost all counts.
Yes,
Young
sir.
is rolling, right? But to one of his latter points, the wake up call for young people. This week on the 21st, which also happened to be the birth anniversary of one of our great consciousness carriers, the great Kwame Nkrumah, who made Ghana the fountainhead of Pan-Africanism when he launched them towards to their independence back in 1957, who studied here in the United States, inspired by none other than the great Marcus Garvey himself. Right on that day, the United States government, through the state of Georgia, 10 years ago, used that day to execute, legally lynch an innocent young man by the name of Troy Davis in Georgia. I didn't forget y'all, right? And I remember, right? I have not seen a mobilization effort to save someone from death row with that kind of passion, at least since 1995, when the first death warrant was signed for Mumia. And I would say that this went further, because even some of our moderate elements that would not come out for Mumia came out for Troy. But the thing that really speaks to what Hawk is saying about young people, there was several hundred students from Howard University that literally crashed the front lawn of the White House, screaming for then President Barack Obama to do something to halt that execution. And neither he nor a very different Supreme Court at that point, not the lynch mob, Trump and Bush dominated Supreme Court that we got now, a very different Supreme Court unanimously turned their heads on pleas for that man's case to be reheard, and he was an innocent man. The record is clear that he was innocent, and almost every juror that participated in the trial, once they found out about everything that the state kept and showed that the boy was innocent, they went ahead and did him anyway. And that was the rite of passage that broke away all the illusions of inclusion that we thought we had with the arrival of Barack Obama to the ascendancy of the presidency of the United States. Now, I'm proud of our folks that were able to mobilize and put that brother in that space, right? But when you put somebody in that space, casting all of those false illusions around that, you had the responsibility of managing an empire. That was the job, right? It wasn't to liberate our people. It was to manage an empire, right? And if we were clear on that, we wouldn't have had these illusions. And so sometimes it takes horrific incidents like this, right? And they didn't just whip our people's behinds on that border. They, in a wholesale fashion, shipped them right back to Haiti. They ain't done that for nobody else in that one with that degree of swiftness, right?
Well,
y'all got my point. This is y'all moment. I'm sorry.
Well, Reverend
It's
Roundtree,
our moment.
Brother Ed, and Pastor Ali, I think that at some point in our life, we all have to again come to the crossroads of the reality of what we are facing. They say that the greatest pathology, disease, or sickness in the world is for people to believe in something just because they wish it to be so. And when you believe in something because of what you wish and not because of what it is, then you are charged with wishful thinking. And when you engage in wishful thinking, then you will misinterpret facts in order to fit your fancy. So Dr. King said, I've almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's
son.
great stumbling block in our stride toward freedom is not the white citizens council or the Ku Klux Klan, but it is the white moderate who's more devoted to order than to justice. He said, our
Letter from
great
a Birmingham
stumbling
jail.
block is
Right
not,
on, son.
he said it's not the white citizen or the white citizen council or the Ku Klux Klan, but it's the white moderate who's more devoted to order than to justice. Marcus Garvey said, call me a Klansman if you will. He said, but every white man and woman is potentially a Klansman as it relates to being in competition with the Negro where economics, justice, and social in so many respects is concerned. What was he saying? That white folks are always going to do what's in their best interest, even if it's against us or sacrificing us. They're never going to sacrifice their own for you and I. Only we do that to one another. So how can we demand them to treat us like we won't treat ourselves? So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad preached along with the Honorable Louis Farrakhan for 90 years that one of our gravest handicaps among the so-called American Negro is that there is no love for self nor love for our own kind. He said, and this not having love for self is the root cause of hate, dislike, disunity, disagreement, quarreling, betrayal, snitching, fighting and killing one another. He said, how can we be loved if we have not love for self in our own nation and dislike being a member of our own? So how can we now demand? We can demand it and we should demand it. I don't want to say that. But again, what we've seen at the border is only reflective of what they have done to us and what we do to one another. So again, we have no more time to languish and wait and be at one another odds for the crumbs that's falling from the slave master's table. But we really have to begin to stand up and make an agonizing, a painstaking, as you put in the quote, Brother Ed, the needlesome task.
That's right.
Of what is going to be our best way forward, because we've been going this way for 465 years and we've gotten nothing. Everything has failed us. So now we got to say, what is the best way forward? Or are we going to pass down to another generation cowardice, poverty, and bipartisan politics? Or are we really ready to do what our brothers and sisters in Haiti did in 1804 and establish our Declaration of Independence? Or are we just going to continue to talk about, what we should do when we know what should be done? We ain't got to ask. Garvey taught us. Elijah taught us. Now we got to unite and do it. I'm not mad at a snake for being a snake. I'm not mad at Joe Biden for what? I knew what he was before he got in office, and he's still that now that he is in office, and I'm not name calling. But it is what it is. So we should not be surprised with the response we see coming from the White House, because it is the White House.
The White House.
But this is a country by white people, for white people, and not for you and me. And I know many of us, we run around and we say, I know the law. I know the law. Well, what you should know about the law is that the law don't apply to you.
That's right.
Because America was not established and chartered with constitutional guarantees for the black man, only for the white man. See, America was not founded to guarantee the freedom and equality of the black man and woman, and indeed she is not seeking to grant these privileges to our people today. Because
all right, my brother.
the Constitution was being drafted. We was enslaved. We was 3/5 of a human being. So those laws were not written with you and I in mind. They didn't even consider us to be human. We was 3/5 of
That's
man.
right. That's right.
So they wasn't writing them laws with you and I in mind. So I know we think that the constant, man, it applies to us all. But what happened at the border to our Haitian brothers shows us that them laws ain't for you. See, we got another set
60%.
of laws for you. It's called the 3-strike law that was written and drafted by Joe Biden. See, we got another set of laws for you and another set of laws for them. So I'm saying to us, brothers and sisters, yes, let's be angry, but let's channel that energy into a program that we can concretize and really begin to move out and do for us what they're not willing to do for us. So
Do
Ed,
for ourselves.
I know, Brother Ed, that coming up is a convention. Is that right?
That's right.
And this to me is the prelude. It's the great segue for that convention, that all black political convention. Because we need our independent party, those of us who have the skill, who have the knowledge, and who have the know-how. In Black America, we are some of the most intelligent people on the planet. But what we don't have is the unity. And I'm not talking about uniformity, but unity in principle, knowing what we need to do and then moving out and making it happen. I'm sorry to get into a soliloquy, but I'm just very passionate.
I think we all feel that way, Minister.
With particular
We
subject.
all feeling
And
that
I'm
way
set
right
up.
now.
And Pastor
No,
Ali,
no,
you
no.
got it, brother. Go ahead, Pastor Ali. We don't want to,
No, you young with energy. You young
No.
with energy. Let
No.
that youth rise.
I seen Brother Ed had a segment of the broadcast up.
He does. So John is ready when y'all are. He can play a segment of that.
Let's listen to it.
You all don't mind, let's watch
Go ahead, John.
Thank you, Brother John.
John, we can't hear the volume.
We can't hear it, Brother John. You still can't hear it. No sound coming through, Brother John. There's no sound coming through, brother. Can you hear it, Reverend Roundtree, Brother Zaid?
No.
No, we can't hear it.
As
John,
of today, under 5,000.
There we go.
Now,
we got it.
the decline in those numbers is visible under the bridge. We were there on Tuesday and people were everywhere. And today the camp has obviously fewer people. It looked like an abandoned makeshift city because, well, people are gone. Some of their belongings and structures remain. Reverend Al Sharpton was here to see the conditions. He spoke to
reporters. Is it choppy on your end or is that me?
Trump supporters and the right wingers can scream all they want. We're going to continue to come back. We're going to stand with our people to make sure that asylum is treated in one way, in one manner. And we will continue to come back over and over again.
The U.S. government continues to release migrants.
I think that's what you were talking about before, in terms of what's going on at the border, in terms of local broadcasts and the way that they were shouting over, people, right? Like and you have a bunch of people in that community literally calling Al Sharpton racist. I think that's the stuff that you were talking about before, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it was kind of choppy, but we could hear the yelling. We can see Brother Sharpton obviously trying to speak over them and keep his point. I think he did an excellent job under those circumstances. We couldn't hear it as clearly as we wanted to, but everybody who's on the live or who's watching, please go and hear it for yourself, and you can see the level of disrespect. I think it's very interesting. The media, the Trump supporters, they immediately attribute these yelling hecklers to Trump supporters. I mean, I don't know if they were, if they weren't, but I mean, I guess they know. But, we saw the level of disrespect that Sharpton had encountered. And again, Reverend Al Sharpton is not new to that type of hostility. We all remember the Yusuf Hawkins case. He was stabbed. So we know that he's used to hostile white folks. Those were the hostile Italians, the other white folks. But he's used to that type of hostility and that type of disrespect. Again, I thought he maintained his dignity and his integrity He kept speaking, he kept talking, he got his point across, he finished, and then they left. But again, the fact that we have come down there to check on our people, and we would be confronted with that type of vitriol and that type of hostility. I'm not that I'm shocked at it, again, because we've been here for 464 years, and we know these white folks better than anybody know these type of white folks. So that's not
right.
nothing new
That's
to
right.
us, from Emmett Till to so many others. As Billie Holiday said, black body swinging, blood at the root, strange fruit. So we
That's
know,
right.
yeah, we know this type of hostility, and Sharpton encountered it, him along with Jamal Bryant and so many others. Again, I don't think that black folks are as naive as they try to paint us out to be, like we don't know that racism still exists. I think we are well aware of it. We see it rearing its head every day with this racist police force. Again, and let's I guess we can dovetail into that. We seen what happened with the George Floyd Policing Act. Nothing is going on
Nothing.
with that. Brother Zaid, I know you're very passionate. You got a lot to say on this because you, Larry Hamm, the brothers and sisters of Pop, been fighting for so long, so many cases on so many sets in terms of the unjust treatment of black and brown brothers and sisters by this racist police force, particularly in states like New Jersey. In states like New Jersey, where racism is very prevalent, and we know the history of the New Jersey State Police as it relates to stop and frisk and all of these other, draconian laws that they have put on the books. But I think we see what happened. We see what's happening with the George Floyd Policing Act. Nothing.
But you know, Brother Hawk, that's why folk are saying that the midterms are in trouble, right? Because nothing has happened, and all those black women who went out there, knocked on the doors, and convinced their sons and daughters to go and vote for Biden and Harris. Are very disappointed, and that's why they are now extremely concerned about the midterms, that they're going to lose Congress, because young people are saying that this man has not even come through in terms of the George Floyd bill, and now we see what's going on in Haiti, which is a further extension of how black folk are treated in this country. And so politically, right, we recognize that for us, all politics are local. That's what we recognize. National politics, what we recognize is that these people are fighting their own battles, right? You got people who are in the Congress that won't get rid of the filibuster, that would be able to get the George Floyd bill passed and get a lot of other things passed. But Biden is worried about trying to be bipartisan in order to appease Republicans. Now, when they were in charge, they didn't give a damn about how Republicans felt, and they most certainly didn't care about
But
Barack
Democrats
Obama
felt.
when he was in power. Remember, they put the judges in; they didn't care how much time he had left, and he still had enough time to do it. They didn't care about that. They did exactly what they wanted to do. For some reason, these white Democrats seem to be so concerned with about not offending their brethren on the Republican side. And then it is the black folks who vote in massive numbers to give them that power. And then when they come to us getting certain bills passed, right, what we're being told is, no, you've got to wait because we've got to get this infrastructure bill passed. Well, hell no, we don't. I mean, at this particular point, black folks who are in the progressive Congress are saying, no, you either do that, because we're not going to do that. It's got to be that and this, because it definitely ain't going to be just that. And so black folk around, and what I'm saying, Hawk, is for us, all politics are local, is based on what we can get locally, because it ain't happening for us nationally. And I can tell you that I'm hearing that the midterms are in trouble. And if they lose Congress, it's all over, man. It's all over.
Well,
I'm telling you, Trump is coming
The
again.
talks have already collapsed. The talks have already, just on the George Floyd piece, the talks have already collapsed. Families, people have been advocating. We know what Al Sharpton's stand was on it. There's another quote, and I know that Minister Abdul-Haqq is big on reminding us historically on various statements that our ancestors and others have made. But I think there's another quote that the question is not whether we will be extremists, but what kind of extremists will we be? Will be extremists for hate or for love? Or will we be extremists for the preservation of injustice or for the extension of justice? We can be extreme about a lot of things. We can be passionate about a lot of things. And I know nobody, when I hear Minister Abdul-Haqq talk, and he goes in with the fire that he has tonight, because there are people that are listening to us on this number one hip hop radio show. All politics are local. Thank you, Ed Rhino and Jonathan. But the truth of the matter is, and I always say this, and thank God for you, Minister Abdul-Haqq, and for your awareness and your consciousness, for not being afraid to speak. That is one of the most profound qualities that a young African American, a young Black man can have, is not to be silent about those things that matter. And so what I do believe is we got to start being extremists for the preservation of injustice or for the extension of justice. Which one is it? Which one we gonna be? Because right now, what happened with the George Floyd bill and all of that, what's happening to those people in Haiti, the disrespect that in 2021 that a man can go down to a country, to a municipality, I'll call it, to try to speak to the injustices, him and Pastor Jamal Bryant, they didn't have to go. And to be disrespected on the front like that just because they're concerned and want justice to be done. How many walls we gonna stand on?
Hey, let me say this, Reverend Roundtree. Somebody once said that democracy in America is simply 4 wolves and a sheep voting on dinner. That democracy in America is simply 4 wolves and a sheep voting on dinner. We talked about it when we was all in the hype and the euphoria of Biden's win. Brother Ed, you know I reminded you, because they said that Clyburn, he's the godfather of the Democratic Party, that he's the man that rescued Biden and brought him back from obscurity, a brother. And they asked him after he delivered over everything to Biden, he laid it all at his feet. They said, Clyburn, what do you want? And you know what Clyburn said? Nothing.
Nothing.
They said, Clyburn, but you delivered what do you want Biden to do? He said, right. I don't want him to do nothing.
That's what he said.
That's what he said. So when we get now, this is the godfather of the Democratic Party. Right. And they asking him, man, you help Biden. You got Biden, and what do you want now? And this man looked right in the camera and said, I don't want nothing. I don't want nothing. He said he wants nothing. Why do we like the devil, Brother Zaid?
Right. That's right. Because he gives us absolutely nothing.
So Clyburn
absolutely
said,
nothing.
I can't now. This man is the father of the Democratic Party. Godfather, I can't now say that. They asked him what he want. He said nothing. So I guess Biden taking him up on that. Well, I'll give you nothing. You ain't asked for nothing. You're not asking for anything. So we're not going to give you anything. But anyway, I just want to say, brothers and sisters, that I really appreciate you all, Reverend Roundtree, Brother Zaid.
We appreciate you.
Brother John.
You're on fire
really
today, man. I love it.
Everything that we're doing and that we will continue to do as it relates to helping our people. But again, I just want to remind us that there is a God in heaven. Yeah. And that God said, the Bible says in the book of James, the 2nd chapter, the 5th verse, have not God chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith and heirs to the kingdom of them that love him. Brothers and sisters, I know that when you look at our condition and what we do to one another, you may not think much of yourself. I'm not choosing me, but you and I are exactly who God wants. The stone that the builders have rejected.
The builders rejected.
He want to make the cornerstone, and we coming whether we want to or not. So I I believe that there's a God who's interested in what's happening in America. And I know if he can bring justice to those 4,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, that he gonna bring it today. So I'm just asking our people to continue to remain faithful to the God that we believe in the immutable principles that he's given us in terms of improving ourselves, the quality of our lives, being charitable, giving, fasting, and making our communities a decent place to live. And I pray that we continue to unite and be one people. So thank you, Reverend Roundtree. We close and we got 4 minutes left. Reverend Roundtree, Pastor Ali, you all got it, dear brothers and sisters.
Yes, sir.
We are united as one. We are united
Yes,
as one.
we are.
That's all I got to say.
We are united as one. Yes, we are. And
I know
when
you
I
got
come
some
on and
announcements, Reverend Roundtree.
I'm getting ready to do it. When I come on, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, when we come on and minister goes in like that, all we can sit back and do and say is thank God for this young man once again. I'm reminded as I go into the announcements, the two announcements that I have, of Sister Frederica Bay, and she always speaks of the hen guarding, you know the statement, sir.
Right.
You know, what is it, the fox guarding the hen house?
That's right.
People that are supposed to be protecting us and looking out for us, and it doesn't quite always work out that way. But and that speaks to what you just said about our beloved leader down in the White House. I'm going to talk about my house, the city of Newark.
That's
Mayor
right.
Baraka, that's it. Mayor Baraka tomorrow is hosting a all men's circle. It's going to be held at Nat Turner Park, and I'm trying to see, wait a minute, where is hold on one second. It's going to be at Nat Turner Park, and it starts tomorrow. If you could just give me a moment to pull it up. While I'm doing that, we do
Starts
have
at 10 o'clock, I believe.
It's, yes, I just want to make sure I have the right information. Yes, so that all men bring somebody. If you are coming, don't come alone. These meetings, these events, this particular event that the mayor does with all of the men, it's called a citywide men's meeting circle. Our brother Aldrich Anque in the city of Newark, Central Ward 8 has been working very tirelessly on all of these men's meetings. It is an outside event. It's tomorrow, 10 a.m. Nat Turner Park in the football field. The men are coming out to hold the line. Bring some young men with you as well. We are thankful once again that Mayor Baraka is doing such a phenomenal job getting the information out that will help young men with development, help young men. Well, if they follow and they bite, they say you can lead the horse to the water, but you can't make them drink. My belief is if you leave them there long enough, they'll get thirsty. So we're going to keep on leading them, praying they'll get thirsty enough to drink or to bite and to get a hold of some of what they're allowed to be a part of, gain, and have access to improve their quality of life. There's also still time to apply for rental assistance in the city of Newark. If you need funds, they will pay up to 12 months of past due rent and up to 3 months of future rent. There's a number, if you could put this in the chat, Jonathan, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., because I'm not on my computer device. I'm trying to remember and read some of this stuff. I think it's 1-866-484-9033. If you are struggling as a result of COVID and various circumstances that have caused you to become behind in your rent, you can call 1-866-484-9033. There are 3 agencies: Clinton Hill Community Action, Ironbound Community Corporation, La Casa. And listen, people don't realize that this money is available, and some people don't apply. And the mayor has extended this because we still have so much money left. So it's emergency rental assistance. It was cut off maybe about 2 weeks ago. And then he extended it last week, and now he's extended it. The deadline for applications is extended to Friday, November 5th. They're doing this case by case, and you're able to get up to 12 months of past due rent and up to 3 months of future rent. Please, ma'am, please, sir, do not forget about the men's citywide circle tomorrow. It has been an honor to serve tonight, Ed, Riley, Jonathan, with my big brother, Pastor Ali, and my son and nephew, Minister Abdul-Haqq Muhammad, on the All Politics are Local, number one, hip hop Baba Zaid station. I'm going to continue to be coming in from Reverend, as NABC has called me now. They say I'm Reverend Revolutionary Roundtree. That's the 3 R's. God bless you. Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you, Brother John, Pastor Ali, Brother Zaid, Reverend Roundtree. Thank you. Love you all. May God bless you.
Love you back.
Love you.
Love you. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, whosoever believeth in him shall not perish but have everlasting life.
Nice. Love you back. Love you back. Hey, man. So that is another week of the Disciples. I always learn so much from the show. I'm always happy, so happy to have you in.
We love you, Jonathan.
Love you back. Absolutely.
And you were quite quiet tonight. You didn't
I'm supposed to be quiet. This is not your show, man. Because, like, I jump on. I still start talking too much. So I respect what the three of you do. So I'm like, because when you get me started, I don't stop. So I'm just like, I'm gonna let y'all do what you do. I love what you do. So that is so thank you. Thank you for spreading the wisdom.
Peace.
All Politics are Local, America's number one political hip hop radio talk show. We are getting ready to enter into our next segment, our next hour, where we are talking again. We're going to be talking about Haiti, and we're going to be talking about what's going on there at the border, right, man? Because like when we were talking about Haiti, and we were talking about what's going on at the border. We were really talking about like some pictures that we hadn't seen that were being compared historically, and some pictures that were being compared to the actual images of slavery. The question that I'm always having is, what is it that we are seeing? We always need some breakdown from people that know. Honored to have the guest that we have on right now. We have incredibly great journalists. Journalists. My bad. Just looking at some of the background stuff, but incredibly proud to have journalist Dieury Dumas. And if you're not, I easily distracted. If you're not speaking, make sure your mic is on mute. And maybe it's my mic. I'm not sure. I'm just getting a lot of background
somewhere.
All right, so we're good. All right, so I'm sorry. I swear I got like developed ADD, and when there's noise going on in the back, I'm like, wait, what's going on? I can't. I'm trying so badly. But thank you. We're honored to have three of our guests here tonight, who are a very serious journalist and who's been on our show before, Dieury Dumas, and Haitian activist as well. We have scholar and Professor Sabine Phillip Layden, and we have our community journalist, Doshon Farad. So thank you so much for being on here today. So, Dieury, I want to start off with you. Last time you were here, we started having a conversation. We had a conversation on Haiti, and we had a conversation. Where is that? What has this recent news meant to that conversation that we were having before about Haiti? About, like, we were talking about the assassination that went there, the earthquake. We were talking about a lot of the history that went on in terms of all sorts of ways in which the United States treats Haiti. Now we have these optics at the border. We have people being deported in record rates, right? Like they're saying that they're deporting them back to Haiti. What's going on in Haiti right now, and how does that fit into previous conversations we have had about this country?
Hi, everyone. I would like to say I'm happy to be back here on the show, but unfortunately, it is with a very sadness I'm back on the show. Well, I'm so happy to see you, and the show is going very strong. To pick up where we left, things are going on the wrong path. We were talking about the assassination of the president, and then after that we had the earthquake. After that we had some devastating news about some bad weather that hit 3 different parts of the country. And after the president assassination, the earthquake, and then we are witness this mass deportation. Well, it just makes things going even worse for the country, and we are not happy. People from Haiti, Haitians that live in the diaspora, and every human being, they cannot be happy with this situation. And the problem is, first of all, we need to understand, and I don't know why us Asian people and Asian American do not understand, or we are related. We are so related. And those pictures from Texas just put that in front of us as the best view that we are so related. The pictures where the police patrol or the border patrol on horse was trying to get those Asian, and those images took us back in the time of slavery. Now, some people make those 2 pictures together to see the similarities into the situation. Well, things are going into the wrong path. Even though we try to make a lot of protests to tell the people the country is not doing well, even before the assassination of the president. This is why I went with you, one of the most respected leaders into our community, into the Haitian struggle, Sabine Philippe. Sabine Philippe, she is very strong. She's a role model for everyone, all the young and people in Haiti, and she's gonna speak about her work. For me, this is bad news coming from bad news, making things worse. Well, the president now, the assassination of the president is very disturbing, and the news are coming from every part of the world that the situation in Haiti getting worse and worse, and we can see that with the situation at the border. The situation at the border right now, from my understanding, they are letting some people in. They're sending a lot of people back. They send them back to their, I don't want to say their place, because this is their country and they have a lot of responsibilities to take care of their country, but we cannot be silenced of the American government participation on the destruction of the country. Because Haiti, just like I was saying the last time, we do not produce guns or bullets or nothing. Well, all those guns are coming from the United States. They are melding into our politics, and the situation is going from bad to worse. Well, the situation is very saddening. This is what I can say from now.
It seems like there are all sorts of reasons to give both asylum for political asylum based on the political situation there, and there's also humanitarian asylum based on the earthquake. And you see these mass deportations, and we know why it is, or at least we get this visceral feeling why. I know that as many African Americans don't fully realize the connectedness between African American history and Haitian history. I say that we are brothers within the struggle in different countries that have looked both similar and different, but have even influenced each other in a great deal. Sabine Phillip, what would you? I just want to hear from you as well in terms of the current situation for this.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Sabine Philippe, and it is a pleasure to be here with you tonight to discuss Haiti. So, Jerry is absolutely right. Things are getting from bad to worse. And unfortunately, we are very baffled to see the treatment that these people were subjected to at the border. And again, what you see is a classical case of the failure of the US government foreign policies in Haiti, as well as a group called the Core Group, uh, who are really interfering in the political scene as well as the internal affairs of Haiti. Haiti is a sovereign country. Haiti has proven to the world that uh, she is capable of helping others, and she has helped even the United States in the battle against the British in the Savannah, Georgia area to free that part of the U.S. and give it back to the United States. So this is a way for the United States to say thank you to those great warriors who helped them become who they are today. So, in a nutshell, I would say that it is very disturbing. As you said, the situation in Haiti with the earthquake and the political catastrophe, as well as the humanitarian crisis, are just causes. There are enough causes to grant these people a stay in the U.S. But of course, the racist immigration policies toward Haiti are defining exactly what is being done today. LADAN, which is the League of Haitian American Diaspora Alliance Network, it's a group of 68 organizations, not only in the US, but also in Canada, France, Belgium, and some other little islands in the Caribbean. We condemn this inhumane act of the US government. We also we are demanding that transparency be made in the fate of those Haitian migrants. We were told that they were placed in different sections of the United States. The latest news that I got was the Secretary of Mayorkas is saying that 12,400 of them will be seen by an immigration judge. But LADAN would love to know where those migrants are. It looks like it's a secret. They are at some detention somewhere, and we're hearing that they are going to be heard. We are also hearing that they've been placed in different parts of the US, places like Montana and Idaho, and places where there's really no connection whatsoever culturally, or even in terms of families, even in those places. So we want to know exactly what has happened to these people and how we can help. As a matter of fact, we want to let you know that LADAN had offered to the US government, as well as the government of Texas, including both cities of Del Rio and El Paso, about 80 acres of land to set up a temporary camp for the refugees where they could stay together in a stable situation, not under a bridge, before they could be processed according to the law and according to the Geneva Convention, which stipulates that everyone fleeing their country for not only political persecution, as well as, like humanitarian crisis, they should be heard and be granted asylum. So we are looking forward to hearing from the parties who are involved in the management or the placement of those Haitians. We would like to follow every single case, and we are going to stay on it until the last migrant has been accounted for, because based on the behavior that we saw with the horses beating people, I've never seen this in my life. I've never seen a horse actually beating somebody to the point that the person falls. And we look at the whipping with the lassos, and we also saw some of our brothers and sisters being tied and dragged with cords. Again, this is bringing us back to slavery. And if we go to the African American Museum in Washington, D.C., those images are very similar to what has happened in the past. This is unacceptable. The Biden administration has failed miserably. The State Department has failed miserably. And we feel that a resolution must be given right away to the Haitian people that are being mistreated, abused, and actually, I would say also fearing for their lives at the border.
Is this what I just put up? Is that the Ladon website? And is this the website for the organization?
That is correct. We have a website, which is www.lhadan.org. This is the website that was created for Ladon. But prior to that, we also, these pictures that you're looking at right now are the pictures of a big march that it wasn't Ladon at the time, but it was Haiti Brigade and Voila, two organizations, one in the Maryland area and the other one in the New Jersey area. They put together a bunch of other organizations throughout the US from 10 different states, and they rallied in Washington, D.C. on May 18 to denounce dictatorship in Haiti, the abuse of the gangs. There are always still going on, kidnappings, raping, beheading, shootings, and all sort of crimes that are happening in Haiti. And also we marched on May 18th to denounce the U.S. interference in Haiti's internal affairs, as well as the core group, which is Canada, France, Spain, Brazil, and the European community. They dictate what goes in Haiti. We don't understand why, but I must say also that we have a lot of betrayers, Haitians in Haiti at the government level, who are allowing this abuse by the international community in Haiti. So now the diaspora, who has about 87% of the cream of Haiti, the brain of Haiti, which is outside of Haiti, we are now getting involved in the matters of our own country. It is time. It is right. It is our right as Haitian Americans to get involved in the matters of Haiti. It is our right to bring our expertise, knowledge, know-how to the profit of Haiti. It is our, I would say, prerogative to make sure that Haiti does take a different direction outside of the international intervention and in the political scene, as well as the overall decision making in Haiti.
I want to bring in journalist Doshon Farad into the conversation. Doshon, what have you found out as well? And also feel free to ask questions of our guests. You're on mute.
Hotep, Brother John, and family, to fellow panelists, as well as to our viewers. Earlier you were referred to me as a community journalist, and I appreciate that. And as such, I've actually been keeping tabs on the activists who have been on the ground in Del Rio, activists such as Tamika Mallory and Brother John Pinto, attorney John Pinto, and Jay Morrison, who've actually been there. They represent the organization Until Freedom, of which I'm affiliated with, and they've actually been in Del Rio, and they've seen some of the conditions that our Haitian family has been under. And I would just would like to remind our viewers, or inform our viewers, that as Dr. Francis Chris Wilson has stated, anytime we observe a white supremacist system. Those who are darker in that white supremacist hierarchy are always going to be at the bottom. And as you can see, you don't have people neglecting the Afghan refugees, but you have people who are neglecting and even calling for the rejection of Haitian refugees, our dark brothers and sisters, our black brothers and sisters. And so me being not just a journalist, but a Pan-Africanist journalist, I say that this is a crisis that people of African descent worldwide should be focused on, and we should be doing whatever we can to assist our brothers and sisters from Haiti. The way that Haitians are being treated is part of a 200-year-old policy punishing Haiti as an example to those of us in the diaspora who would dare speak out against white supremacy. The way Haitians are maligned and demonized, even in some cases by other Caribbeans, by other Black Caribbeans, that's part of a policy that has lasted for 200 years. So this right here, the way Haitians are being treated, the way people of African descent have been treated, is nothing new. Right now, what we've seen thus far, and the reports that I've been getting from activists on the ground, as well as some other credible publications, such as the New York Times, is that you have some of our Haitian family actually being allowed to stay in the country, different cities. They're being granted asylum for months and even years pending an immigration hearing. Cities like New York, just to let you know, Houston, Texas has received nearly 2,000 Haitian immigrants who have arrived from Del Rio, and from San Antonio. Some of our Haitian family, I would say hundreds of our Haitian family, members of our Haitian family, have been sent to different parts of the country, cities like New York, Boston, Miami, as well as New York City, Boston, Miami, and various other metropolitan areas. So, and of course, we know about there have been 2,000 that have already been sent back to Haiti. But just to let you know, today President Biden had during his White House press conference, was speaking to the press. He said that he suspended the horseback patrols of Haitian migrants, Haitian refugees. He suspended that, but the ill treatment of Haitians in that area actually led to the envoy, Daniel Foote, envoy. He had actually resigned. He had said that and I'm paraphrasing, he had opposed the inhumane treatment, of Haitian refugees. So he actually resigned yesterday after only being in his position for, say, 2 months. He resigned out of outrage. And,
are you talking about the Haitian envoy to the United States?
Right, Daniel Foote. He actually released a statement, saying that he had never seen, such inhumane conditions. And so, like I said, he resigned out of outrage. So this situation, you actually have people outside and inside the government who are expressing outrage. The Congressional Black Caucus had jumped on this administration's case about how they're treating our Haitian family. This week, we saw that. We saw the. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and to be clear, Daniel Foote is an American diplomat. So he's an American diplomat who resigned. This is not a Haitian envoy to the United States. This is a special American envoy to Haiti. So this is an American who is like, nah, I've got to resign.
Right. And like I said, he was only in that position since July. But what he saw in Del Rio, it caused him to become quite disgusted. But this is a sentiment that is across the United States. But this is the thing. I would say to Black media, our colleagues in Black media, who oftentimes are very not necessarily left-leaning, but I would say Democratic-leaning. They're in the behinds of the Democratic Party. They need to jump on the case of this administration a little harder, hold them accountable. And of course, I would say, Brother John and Zaid, those of us that guest host All Politics Are Local, we're referred to as the new Black media. Okay, I always say that we have mainstream media, which is the white media, but within Black media, you have two types of media. You have the Black mainstream media, which is the bourgeois Negroes. Oftentimes, many of them are in bed with the Democratic Party, and in some cases, the Republican Party. But then you have us. You have the All Politics Are Local, YourBlackWorld.com, Black Agenda Report. We're the, if you will, we're the new black media, meaning that yes, we're black media, but at the same time, we fight against white supremacy. We use our outlets to hold either political party accountable, and we have a Pan-Africanist mindset. Okay, so right now, as I said earlier, this situation with Haiti, the black media ought to know, the mainstream black media, is that this situation affects all of us, and hold this administration accountable. President Biden said on the night of his, when he won, he said, the African-American community, you've always had my back, I'm gonna have yours. And so unfortunately, what we have in black media, we have those who serve as gatekeepers for the Democratic Party. And of course, we did this with Clinton, we did this definitely with President Obama, and we're doing this now with Biden and Harris. How dare you say anything about these two, even though they have made statements. And just to let you know, I believe yesterday it was, Vice President Harris did come out expressing what she said was her outrage against this crisis. However, we don't think that she's done enough. Okay, right now they're granting, I believe 95,000 Afghans are being allowed to come to America. Okay, now here's the thing, brothers, and I'm gonna close with this, John. I'm not gonna monopolize our time. Okay, you have Democrats and Republicans and Democrats that traced Afghanistan to they traced 9/11, which we just observed the 20th anniversary of 9/11. You trace the origin of that to Afghanistan. Okay, you're granting people from a country that you say took part in what you say is America's worst terroristic crisis in its history. You're allowing people to come from that country freely, but you're now sending back dark-skinned people, black people, back to Haiti.
So welcome, Donna. Welcome to the program, and feel free to jump in with questions to any of the panelists.
I'm going to continue to listen, and thank you, Brother Doshon. Welcome, Sister Sabine, and Brother Dumas. Welcome, and I'll just listen and I'll jump in when I see fit.
Okay, I was, and Saeed, same with you, and Doshon, feel free to ask questions of our guest. I'm just going to jump in with a question to Professor Felipe, and so when we're looking at, and my apology for the name pronunciation, when Doshon just talked about African-American activists and looking at what's going on within the United States and having an understanding of what the Biden administration, or basically what I got, is how the Biden administration treats Haitians is a message to Black Americans about our treatment as well, right? Like, it's not in isolation. Are Haitian activists working with African-American activists now to put greater pressure on having a lot more migration and allowed migration, TPS status expanded into the United States, like working with the Congressional Black Caucus and others to demand a greater number of Haitian immigrants to be able to come to the United States?
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me tell you, what you see here affects every single Black person on the planet. When the Haitian when the Haitian put the end to slavery, it wasn't just for Haitian. It was for every single person who is Black on the planet, and it worked. President Obama could not have been in office if it weren't for the Haitian people. Did he go to Haiti one time? No, not a single time as a Black president. So, in essence, we feel that the collaboration should be definitely tight between not only the Haitian community, but all the Blacks, whether it's African American or Blacks in general. Because, as we know, the force is in the numbers, and we must demand that the treatment given to everybody trying to come to the United States should be equitable. Okay, you're not going to take one set of laws for one group because the shade of their skin is a little lighter, and you're going to impose stronger or more severe procedures because you are Black. So yes, the Haitian American and the African American and all the African communities must come together and resolve once for all this racism that is ingrained in the American culture.
And I would probably add that I think that, and I don't know how others feel, but I think that given the specific, and actually this is something I will ask Mr. Dumas or Doshon or Zaid to jump in on. I think Haiti's situation is where they should probably get preference, given that you have a humanitarian crisis in the earthquake. There was TPS status given based on a previous earthquake. There's another earthquake that happened. You have political unrest, so that there's reasons for political asylum. There's reasons for humanitarian asylum, and I think that and Haiti is within our hemisphere, which makes it all just I do think Haitians should get priority when it comes to people who are fleeing Haiti, based on humanitarian reasons and based on reasons from fleeing political danger, because we do have asylum.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I think we should call out especially the Biden administration for this lack of let me use the word love, since we know there's no love between countries' relation, but interest. But we have been so good to the US, like we help them into the fight for freedom. We support their policy, just like what happened with Jovenel. We always been very good friend, a very good neighbor to the US a country. Now, we also can call ourselves a Democrat because in Haiti, we're still fighting to make our country work as a real democratic country. But we have been only good to the US. I don't know why. Well, as we know, it's racism, and also Haiti was the first black country. But back then there was a lot of slave owners. I think that's the problem. But we also need to call out, especially in this time, to first let the African American communities understand, like those scholars, intellectuals, and the leaders like Al Sharpton, and all and different people, to understand we need to come together. Asian people, Asian African American, they are in the same struggle. We cannot let we cannot stay back and say we are not gonna fight together. No, it's not gonna work, and the proof are very real as we can see them right now. Well, there is Barack Obama, and just like Professor Philip said it, Obama was in power like for 8 years. He went all the way back to Africa, China, to different. He never went to Haiti. Well, I think it's time for us to call out those people, especially the NC, like those Democrat people. We don't need to be like bamboozled no more. They need to do something real. We're not gonna take it no more. And also, it's not only about that. When we, as an organization, we need to do the field work. Now we can see those people are divided into 3 groups. First, those that went back, they sent back to Haiti, and they have been forced back. Many of them, when they arrived in Haiti, they said they did not know where they're going. They just tell them to go into this plane. They did not feed them properly. They was not allowed to go to the bathroom, and then they just put them on a plane, and they were forced to take the plane. And when they arrived in Haiti, I think you might see the videos. They were basically fighting with those locals in Haiti, and many of them left the country like 20 years ago, 10 years ago. And they, from my report, they said 40 children, they was not born in Haiti. They were born maybe in Brazil, Panama, into different countries. So those kids, they do not have well, the Asian nationality, but the nationality, the Asian nationality, it's you have that by blood, but kids who was not born in Haiti, well, they probably have different nationalities. That's one part of the question. And also those that left in to the States, where are they now? We want to know, because I remember when I first came to the US, I went to some time to adjust myself, and I needed friends, I needed family to guide me into this big country with different laws, with different people, with different food, with a different culture. We are here to help them. And also, or they're gonna move forward. Are they gonna go to those judges who gonna defend them, and or they're gonna get those papers so they can find work and send those kids to school? There's a lot of questions that we are asking, and this is why a ladder is very important into this fight. And the media also is very important, because some people say they open the floodgate. Some people say there's a lot of different reports. They say they take them to those camps. We need access to our friends or families, because they are friends and families, to talk to them directly. That's the situation. And the media and the African American country, African American communities, we need your support. We are into this struggle together. Today it's for Asian people. You don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow, and then this is why we need to get real action and real result.
And one of the things that just in terms of clarification, and often when you have these issues, people start calling for different things. The thing that's very clear that everyone's calling for is transparency. What is happening to people who have been deported? What is happening to people who are here? Where are they? Where are they located? And to definitely stop the brutality and add more people that can get immigration status. But the question I have is: when people look at the United States and its interaction with Haiti, there are two sides to it. One is the United States interferes too much. The United States is colonial. The United States interference is very harmful. The other side is the United States doesn't care. It doesn't get involved. It shouldn't get involved. And it seems like there's a real thin line between what people would want, right? So what is it that people on the ground, people in Haiti, are calling for of things, of the ways in the United States should act toward Haiti in ways that are beyond just transparency, the things that were very clear, like transparency and stop with the horses and the beating and allow more immigration? What are some things that what is the area in which the United States should act? How should they act?
Well, if I may answer the question. Okay, so the first thing I would say is that I think Mr. Foote summarized it really well. He said there's too much political intervention by the United States in the affairs of Haiti. I'm very sure you have the article. It's a published 2-page letter that was made public in the Washington Post. So he said it, he summarized everything there. He said that too much interference has caused what we see today. And he's afraid that it will continue. The migration problem will continue to show up on the shores of the United States. The other thing that I want to remind everyone, to corroborate with what Dieury said earlier about the Biden administration, well, if you can recall, when he was a senator, congressman or senator, he had said that it wouldn't matter if Haiti rose 300 feet above water or went down 300 feet underwater. It would not make any difference. So that translates exactly their feeling about Haiti. And the fact that they want to impose a democracy in Haiti is very troublesome as well. You cannot impose a culture to your culture to a different country. Haiti was under dictatorship, excuse me, for 30 years prior to the mess that you're seeing here. However, the US decided, okay, it was time for democracy. But what is democracy to Haitian people? What kind of education was given to these people to understand that democracy is not anarchy? Okay, that was not done. Second, the interference and the corruption and the support of a political delinquency perpetually in Haiti is exactly what we're seeing at the border today. Those corrupt leaders that are supported by the international community do nothing for Haiti. There's no education, there's no health system, there's no job, there's no opportunities. So what do you have left? Flee the country. In addition, you have a country that is now being led by gangs, and the gangs are supported by the higher ups. So what outcome do you expect? Then you have the international press that wants to portray Haiti as the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, but yet Haiti is one of the richest countries in the world. The resources, the natural resources that we have, unfortunately, we cannot exploit them, but other people are still in it. Okay, so that doesn't make us a poor country. Haiti was the country that made the wealth of a lot of countries in Europe, mainly France and Spain. What are you talking about? Haiti is still the same country. The mines are still there. Everything, I mean, nature replenishes itself. And we know what happened with the bauxite. We know what happens with a lot of things that I don't care to discuss here. Okay. However, people have to be fair. Haiti has a lot of potential. When you look at the diaspora throughout the world, what do? They excel. Let me just add one more thing. These people who made it up all the way to Texas, it took them 3 months to make it through. I don't think myself I would have been able to do this. These people are heroes. They are warriors. They proved to the United States that they can do it, like they did it in the past for the United States. If these people come here, they are not violent people. They just want a better life. They want to be able to. They want a better life. They want to be able to provide for their family, for themselves. They are not violent. And when they come here, they work hard. They work hard. Look around. Look at all the Haitians who are around the world. Look how much they're contributing to the stability of those countries, those empires where they work, where they live. People should start reflecting on this. This is a serious matter. Haiti deserves a different chance. Haiti deserves another chance. And Haiti deserve another treatment. And the people in Haiti do not want this interference anymore. They are sick of it. They've proven it. They've taken the street, but the media has been silent about it. And then yet, when there's a crisis like this, Haiti's all over the news. It's always something negative, but they will never remind anybody in the United States or in the world that Haiti contributed to their stability.
Professor Sabine, you said that so well and so passionately, and I'm sure not as passionately as you would. The restraint, I can see you restraining yourself. Haiti, a very, very proud country, and I guess I recall you guys having a friend in Elijah Cummings, Congressman Elijah Cummings. I know Jonathan has spoke earlier about the Congressional Black Caucus and what are they doing. I recall specifically a lot, Congressman, the former congressman who's went on to glory, how he would focus in on Haiti every year at the annual legislative conference. I know, Brother Dumas, earlier you said that there was a group of people going down to Del Rio. Has there been any congressional members that are joining that group? And Jonathan, also, you already asked what is the ask, but in terms of volunteers and everything, have you had any leadership from the Congressional Black Caucus going down as well? Brother Dumas?
Yes, we do have a lot of support. As you can see, Congressman Green in Texas and Maxine Waters, she's always been there for us, and Al Sharpton, and we do have some support from congressional people, but we need more. We do not need now talks or promises. We need action. We need real result. We want to see action because people, I can see, those people at the border, they went to get food for their kids. And that's what I mean. They went to get some drink for the wife or the children. That only should tell us they're not here to do any wrongdoing. They travel with all family. They travel going to different countries, working a night, going up and down. A lot of them were killed. A lot of them. That's only should tell you they're not here to do any bad stuff. They just want a better life. And if we go down to look exactly why they're running away, we're gonna find that the US has something to do with it. First of all, they just melding into a political system. And those guns again, we need some long-term solution. The long-term solution should come with some support to the national police, the police in Haiti. Well, the army, we do have an army, quote unquote. They cannot do nothing. People are gonna keep leaving the country. That's the problem. They're gonna keep leaving the country because there is a lack of security. Those gangs, they get guns, they get better guns and bullets, better. Their guns are better than the national police in Haiti. And we do not produce that. So the short-term solution, we need to help those people, relocate them, give them assistance like CPS or anything else. That's the short-term solution. Because in Mexico, in Panama, in Chile, more people are coming. So what we're gonna do? Are we gonna keep accepting them? And if we open some doors, a lot of Haitians, they're gonna just, probably millions of people, they're gonna just work for 2 months and then they know their life gonna change forever. They're gonna keep on coming. So the real solution now, short-term solution and the long-term solution. And to make those policies, we need people in Congress. Back then, we had 68 U.S. representatives and senators that vote President Biden, and they chose Daniel Foote as a special envoy to see exactly what is going on, like in the local, just like the show on political local. They sent him into Haiti, and then they start talking. He talked with the opposition leaders. He talked with the civil society leaders. He talked with human rights organization. He talked with a lot of victims from those gangs and from the national police also. And then he realized the problem is the core group. The problem is the State Department and his resignation. He left and then he said, my resignation is in effect immediately, because he understood. They just sent him there so to just talk, and they play bamboozle those people in Haiti. And then he said, I'm not gonna take that no more. The problem is you guys. The problem is the State Department. The problem is the interest of the US government. Their interests, just like the brother stated, some people said the US get too involved. Other people said you should not get involved at all. Well, the problem is, do not get in for your own interests. We just need help, just like Haiti helped those people in Latin America. We just free them. We just give them guns and support to just free them, because we wanted to be free for themselves. We had no interest in it. The US government just they said, I'm gonna place my own guy. I'm gonna place Martelly because Martelly is a guy that's gonna listen to me. I'm gonna place Jovenel because I can trust his arm, and then he's gonna vote against Venezuela. Please, we cannot play this game no more of political interest, because politics is interest. We need real support from the Congress to make laws that are gonna help the Asian people. Because just like we see it, we are going back from like slavery pictures. We need some support for the interest of the country.
So just to be clear, right? Like, it seems like what you're saying is the reason why we have the immigration crisis to begin with is because of the instability in Haiti that is in part brought on by U.S. policies, like in part brought on by the United States supporting particular leaders who are not good, but good for the United States, but not good for Haiti. And that leads to like this current political crisis, compounded with the earthquake, that lead to people who are going all over, like Haitians are leaving and going all over Central America and coming up through the United States, and that's going to continue.
Yes, exactly. I'm gonna give you a quick example. Bill Clinton, back in 2010, after the earthquake, he went to the U.S. Congress. He said he was talking to some journalists. He said, "I'm sorry to the Haitian people because he destroyed our rice plantation because he wanted to support those Arkansas farmers because they wanted some place to sell the rice." And then he said it. You can go on YouTube to say it. He said he was sorry because when you destroyed our agricultural system, people are gonna live for food. People are gonna live for medicine. It's not a basicless claim. You can go on YouTube to find that he said he was sorry because back in 2010 we had this earthquake, and then people, it was a misery. I know you know what happened in 2010. Therefore, the US has a lot to do with that. A lot to do with the misery. A lot to do with what is going on in Haiti. And those people that shows up at the borders, they're not doing because they want to go camping, they want to live, and then what are the root cause of the situation? And if we do not solve that, if we do not bring some solution to that, more people are gonna come. More people will come, and those people that are coming now, they are living in DR, Chile, Brazil, and when they see, oh, guess what? There was a crisis at the border, but they let them in. More people are gonna come. Those people are in Latin America and in Haiti. More people are gonna come. The real solution now, and it's what the people saying on the ground. As I'm working with a lot of them, they said those gangs, people are getting raped. The kidnapping is very high in Haiti, and the police cannot do nothing. We need the support to solve this problem.
And that actually leads me to my next question. When you're talking about the gangs who are in Haiti, and you're talking about how powerful they have become, it seems like and I just want an explanation because I clearly don't know anything about the answer to this, but it seems like that's a really dangerous sword to ask the United States to come in and basically help police Haiti, when we know how, in ways that we know what happens when they police the United States, right? When they police Black communities within the United States, and those are police who are working within the same community, as opposed to having foreign soldiers come into Haiti to help police a gang problem. How does that work in a way that and help me understand it, because for me it seems like it's a bad problem with a solution that could go left.
Okay, I'd like to answer this question
again. It's the policy. Just 30 seconds. Again, it's the interest. Why they're coming? Why they're going? The interest it should not be for the U.S. government. It should be with a specific mission to do one thing for the Asian people: taking off those guns, put those people into jail, and then clear the thing. Not for the interest of the U.S. government. If we need those U.S. Army to solve one problem, for the interest of the people of Haiti, not the U.S. government interests. Yes, Sabi.
And Professor Philippe, what were you going to say as well?
Right. So before I answer this question, I'd like to add, in terms of support, Congresswoman Yvette Clarke has been I don't have the word to say. She's been really great in trying to help resolve the issue with Ladon. She's been working with us very closely, and she has even contacted the administration to see what can be done very closely with Ladon. So I want to thank her publicly. She's always been there for Haiti, and she's great. She's always supported everything Ladon's done, and we thank her for that. Now, to answer this question of whether the US
Professor Sabine, I just wanted to get, was that Congresswoman Yvette Clarke from
Yvette
Brooklyn?
Clarke, yeah. She's
Okay, got you. Thank you.
been great. I just cannot describe the amount of support and help and really consciousness. She's been really on it and supporting Ladon and Ladon's effort and working together with us. So that's great. Now, in terms of whether the U.S. Should or should not come and help with the gang, and if it's a different, if it's a dangerous situation for them. Well, what I would say is that it only takes 10 Marines to solve the issue. We know the United States has the expertise. They are the #1 expert in solving issues of terrorism. This is exactly what's happening in Haiti. Those are terrorists terrorizing people, beheading people, kidnapping people, killing people. Okay?
I know that we are running very close out of time, but I do want a clarification on that. When you were talking about the words of the United States knows how to deal with terrorists, they use drones and they blow up people by accident, and they killed 10 kids in Afghanistan as the last act in Afghanistan. So when you're asking for the United States and Marines to come in and deal with people in the language of terrorism, is like, can in ending the how does that avoid how the United States deals with terrorism, which often has what they call collateral damage, but they kill innocent people.
Okay, what I'm saying is it only, and I'm repeating again what I just said, it only takes 10 Marines in Haiti to solve these problems. They have the expertise. They don't have to go with drones and bomb people. No, they have techniques that can be less invasive and less, dramatic. But Haitian people will not, once they see the U.S. Marines come, they will run. They don't want to die. They will run and put the weapons down. I guarantee you this. It only takes 10 Marines with their expertise to solve those problems. We're not talking about a whole lot of, the whole country. We're talking about specific pockets of gangs. They are all centralized in certain neighborhoods, and they can deal with this very easily.
Okay. Well, I know that we are getting ready to.
And I just wanted to clarify, Jonathan, because it seems to me, Professor Sabine, you're saying more like a show of force, not actually to just the show. Okay.
That is correct. The show of force will deter any further, and then they will run. I'm telling you, they are cowards. They are cowards when it comes to the U.S. Marines or whatever. They are afraid of the Marines. This is a cultural thing.
Okay, so
they know when the U.S. Army shows up, the game is over.
Yeah,
I got you, Professor Sabine and Brother Dumas. I know, Jonathan, you're getting ready to transition, and I just wanted to make the connection. We have Chairman Hamm who just showed up, and he's on our next segment. So, Chairman Hamm, I just wanted you to meet Brother Dumas and Professor Sabine. And I'm sorry, Jonathan, you can go ahead and do the transition. I just wanted to introduce him.
Oh no, actually, and I know that Larry Hamm has some stuff to say about it as well, because one of the themes of this program were American activists working with African American activists, working with Haitian American activists, and the activist community working together, because so that's a perfect thing to happen. So Chairman Hamm, can you jump in? And after Chairman Hamm jumps in, we're going to ask Sabine and Dieury, we're going to ask you one question as well. Dieury, you were on the show before. You already know what it is. All right, so Chairman Hamm?
We can't hear you.
Oh, your mic.
We can't hear you.
He's muted.
Chairman
He's
Hamm.
muted.
All right.
There we go.
All right. That's because the host muted me.
Yes. Whenever you're not speaking, we always mute you because we get feedback.
Right.
Absolutely.
But I want to say good evening to my Haitian brother and sister, Professor and Brother Dumas. Just yesterday, I was at City Hall in East Orange, New Jersey, with the New Jersey chapter of NEON. Is that how you say it?
Yes.
Yes, it's the national group of elected Haitian officials. Yes, they had a press conference yesterday in East Orange, and I joined them for the press conference in support of their condemnation of the abominable treatment that our Haitian brothers and sisters received down there in Del Rio, Texas, and condemning the deportation that was going on. And yesterday evening, our organization met, the People's Organization for Progress, and we passed a resolution stating the same. As a matter of fact, we condemned the slave master-like actions of the border patrol agents, the deportation, and we called for solidarity with our Haitian brothers and sisters. We called for an end to the treatment, the immediate termination, not suspension, the immediate termination of those border agents that were engaged in the brutality, a total change, a new direction in the Biden administration policy toward Haiti and Haitians everywhere, and so on and so forth. So we're on record now in support, but our organization has a long history of supporting the Haitian community here in our area. We were very active in support of President Aristide when he was running for office, and we condemned the kidnapping and removal of President Aristide and the imperialistic, racist, and colonial type policies of the United States government toward Haiti. So I just want you to know we stand in solidarity with you.
All right, thank you so much. And as we close out this segment, we want to both within your final statement, we are All Politics for Local, America's #1 political hip hop radio talk show, and we also always ask our guests at the end of the interview, who is your favorite hip hop artist, individual or group? And it could just be who you're rocking with now. It doesn't have to be your favorite one of all time.
And Professor Sabine, since this is your first time, we get to ask you the question first. So,
wow, you're not even getting a chance to think about it.
So, Professor Sabine, what hip hop artists are you listening to when you're sitting down thinking, writing notes? Is there a hip hop artist that you listen to?
Well, I listen to a lot of them. I'm actually a dancer, so I listen to a lot of hip hop. So it will be hard for me. But I'm going to tell you, if you take the hip out of the hop, I will choose Willie. It's not a hip hop, but my favorite one is Michael Jackson. So, not a hip hop.
Let me see if Michael ever did a rap. Did he ever do a rap? No, we got to get a hip hop one, Professor. You got to give me a hip hop one.
Okay, let's see. Who would I say?
Gotta give Haitians. You gotta get Haitians. You can give Haitians own hip hop artists.
Well, okay. I give it to my Haitian, Wyclef Jean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll give it
Wyclef
to him.
is coming to he's coming to the NJ Pack too in November. So he's coming
Okay.
back. The Fugees are coming back. Yeah.
That's right.
All right, and Mr. Dumas.
Well, I'm gonna do a better job this time. Listen to Common, and also to sometimes I listen to Sha Millionaire, and always Kanye West. I listen to hip hop every day, Hot 97 or a different kind of hip hop. So
did you say
I'm a
Common?
guy.
You
So
said Common?
Yes.
Yeah, Common is the truth. Yes.
All right, well,
Was all
And
was all
also, thank
was
you,
all,
Mr. Lawrence Hamm and everyone. I think I'm glad that Sabine Philippe is here. I think she did an amazing job. And just like I said, we need to use this moment to connect our people. Asian struggle is African American struggle. We need to come together and with the elders, with the leaders, lead the way for the new generation, the next generation, to come together, because the struggle is gonna go on and on. And I'm very glad. I'm always happy to come on the show. So thank you so much.
yeah,
Well,
Brother
I'm honored.
Dumas and Sabine, that's why, and Professor Sabine, please don't be a stranger. If there's a D,
absolutely.
Jonathan, you can extend, I'm sure you will extend. They're always welcome.
Absolutely.
I'm honored to have been part of this great panel. And I thank you so much for the invitation. And I want to thank Dieury also for having invited me directly to join this great team. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. And
thank you so much. Bye-bye.
This is All Politics Are Local, America's number one political hip hop radio talk show. And we are back with our friend and our very good friend from the program, Chairman Lawrence Hamm of the People's Organization for Progress, legendary activist, and just a genuine good human being who has taught us a lot. Every time he comes on the show, I learn something new. And who I hear may be coming out with a book soon. Which I'm always going to be, I'm always saying that because so much all the time.
I'm going to be meeting with the writer. We talked this morning, and we're going to knock it out in October.
Don't lie. She's been getting on your behind for a year.
No, I talked to her this morning. We are going to be meeting on October 17th. She's coming back up, and we're going to try and knock it out that day.
Then let's put this in context. He getting ready to walk 67 miles.
Yes. Yes. And I was getting ready to say,
right, at 67 years old, and talk about he gonna do some work the next day. He needed to sit his behind down and get some sleep.
Some people said I should have sat down a long time ago.
Oh, don't believe him though. Don't believe him. Don't believe him.
But no,
so you're gonna walk 67 miles?
Yes, we're going to have. We calling it, thanks to Zaid Muhammad, the Long March for Justice, the March for Police Accountability, Social Justice, and Economic Progress. And we're going to start right now. We're scheduled to start on Monday, October 11th, and we're going to march through 22 towns, 67 miles to Trenton, in order to draw attention to key legislative initiatives. And at the top of the list is the bill for police review boards with subpoena powers, a 4656 S2963, which has been all but forgotten. And we're not going to let it be forgotten. So we're having this march to draw attention to legislation in those areas of police accountability, social justice, and economic progress.
So wow. So when you're talking about police accountability, are you talking about just in terms of New Jersey and laws here, or is it federally? What really brought on this march? Because 67 miles, man. I mean, that's some marching. What made you? Was there anything that precipitated like we got to march now like that?
Well, to be absolutely truthful, and this is going to be All Politics Are Local exclusive, I actually started thinking about this project this summer when it became clear to me and Zaid and others that the New Jersey legislature was not going to take action on A4656, the Police Review Board with Subpoena Powers bill. Jonathan, you remember, and Donna, you remember, when we marched on Trenton in June, I believe, Zaid, wasn't it June 21st? We took busloads of people to Trenton, and we rallied and picketed in front of the State House Annex in anticipation of the legislative session that was coming up the following Monday or Tuesday. And the bill did not come to the floor for a vote. That bill was introduced over a year ago by Assemblywoman Angela McKnight. It wound its way through the legislative process, and it went to committee, and there were committee hearings. People went to Trenton and testified, various organizations, all of the New Jersey civil rights and civil liberties, social justice organizations went down to be at the committee hearings. And then, the Assemblywoman McKnight put out a clarion call, and that call was taken up by Mayor Baraka. And Mayor Baraka met, and Assemblywoman McKnight met with activists from throughout the area. We had a meeting at, I believe it was Reverend Rountree's church.
Yeah, Rountree's church, yes it was.
That's right. We had that meeting there, and we said, and we were informed by them that it was time to put the pressure on, because the legislature, which is controlled by Democrats, remember in New Jersey, we got a blue state, governor, Senate, Assembly, all controlled by Democrats. And here we are, we can't get our bills brought to the floor for a vote. So as early as July, I was pondering what could we do that we hadn't already done to draw attention to this bill, and in that way put pressure on the leadership of the Assembly, which is the Speaker, and I believe it's Coughlin. I believe he's still the Speaker of the Assembly, and the leader of the Senate and the President there is Sweeney. My understanding is, I'll put it this way: rumor has it that the FOP and the other police organizations, because there are a number of major police organizations in this state. There's a FOP, there's a PBA, the police supervisors have an association, the sheriffs have an association, and on and on and on. And these police groups are putting pressure on the leadership not to bring the bill to the floor for a vote. And as I said, as early as July, I was like, well, what could we do? And then I began to reflect on our great history in this country. And I remember the Selma to Montgomery March. People remember the March on Washington, August 28, 1963, but people don't talk too much about the Selma to Montgomery March, where Dr. King and the civil rights activists marched 55 miles. Was it Selma to Montgomery or Montgomery to Selma? Whichever is the state capital.
Selma to Montgomery.
Selma to Montgomery. And so, I said, well, maybe we need to do something similar. Now, we didn't have a whole year to do this, so it's not going to be on the grand scale of Selma to Montgomery, but we're going to try and get it done nonetheless. We're going to start at the intersection of Church and Bloomfield Avenue in Montclair, New Jersey. We're starting in Montclair, and we're going to wind our way down to Newark and into Elizabeth, and then up Rawway Avenue, through all the towns, Rawway, Raritan Avenue, which are part of what is called, I discovered, because I was trying to think, well, if I'm going to march to Trenton, how am I going to get there, right? I only know to take either Route 1 or the Turnpike or a combination of the two. And you cannot walk on those highways. So I'm like, well, how do you do this? And so, I experimented. I took drives every so many days, and then I finally figured it out. And basically it's a route, you know, once you hit Elizabeth, you can hit 27 South, which is really Broadway Avenue, and really take that all the way through to Princeton. 27 South will take you all the way to Princeton, and that winds its way through various towns. Then once you hit Princeton, you take 206 South into Trenton, and believe it or not, as serendipity would have it, 206 South took us right to Martin Luther King Boulevard. So when we hit Trenton, we'll be marching down Martin Luther King Boulevard, which becomes North Warren Street, and that intersects West State Street, and 2 blocks we're at the State House. So we figured out how to do it. We're going to try to do it over approximately 6 days, and doing it at about 12 miles a day, 12 or so miles a day. And, you know, until we get there. I'm not going to try to do this all in one day. I'm not going to try to do 20 miles a day. I'm not trying to kill myself. I'm just trying to get there. And I'm hoping not to do it by myself. We expect to have rallies at the kickoff point in Montclair. We hope we will have a support rally in Newark. We hope we will have one in Elizabeth. We hope to have one in New Brunswick, in Princeton, and then the major rally at the end in front of the State House in Trenton. The plan is to arrive in Trenton at 1 o'clock on Saturday, October the 16th.
Chairman, going back to when Dr. King, when they did it, the march, and they did it over a series of days, they slept on the route, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So,
I'm not sleeping on the route. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not trying to get sick sleeping outside. I'm going to rely on folks to bring me back home. Okay. And then each day I will return to the spot where I stopped the previous day, and put in the work, put in the 10 to 12 miles, and do that until until we make it to Trenton. And the plan is, as I said, to get there on Saturday, the 16th at 1 o'clock.
But also people joined and left as well when Dr. King did the march.
Right.
Too.
And,
so
and
people
we want
joined.
people, yes, we want people to do that. Look, I don't care if you walk a block or you walk a mile, it's up to you. I just don't want to be walking alone. I don't want to be singing that song, I'll Never Walk Alone. You know, I want people to walk with me. Now, I know there'll be some parts where I will walk alone. I don't expect, but through the major towns where there are Black communities, I hope that some people will come out and at least march with me through that town, through that community. And as I said, I'm looking, at Montclair. From Montclair, we're going to go to Orange, Donna. Okay. We're going to need your help in Orange.
Well, I'm looking because so the first leg starts in Montclair, and you end up where? Where does the first leg take you from? Montclair?
The first leg is going to take us down Bloomfield Avenue to Orange Road, and then we're going to come down to Thomas Boulevard. Then work our way up. What street is City Hall on? Day Street?
Right.
In Orange. We're going to work our way up to Day Street, to City Hall. Then we're going to swing down Main Street and stop by City Hall in East Orange. Okay. Then we're going to push over through East Orange, up into Newark, and go through Newark over Stuyvesant Avenue over into Irvington. We're going to make a stop in Irvington. Then we're going to go down Springfield Avenue to Broad Street into City Hall. Then take Broad all the way out to Freeland-Hyson, all the way out to Elizabeth North Broad Street and to Broadway Avenue, and then swing up Broadway Avenue. And then we're on our way out, to the hinterlands, all them little towns where we don't usually go,
You're going to try to touch how many municipalities? 566 municipalities. You're going to try to touch them all? 565?
No, 22. There's 22 towns between Montclair and
Trenton.
One of the things you brought up, you were like, we're a democratic town. The bill on the civilian complaint review boards, the CCRB, just the Democrats in New Jersey are ignoring it. But because, and you mentioned the Fraternal Order of Police,
right,
and these police organizations. But my questions to you is, the Fraternal Order of Police, these police organizations, they don't vote Democratic. They don't give money, in large part, to Democratic candidates. Don't the Black community, the people who want this bill, the constituents, don't we vote more for Democrats and Democrats? And if we do, what is there we can do? Like, in what way can we match Fraternal Order of Police that we don't already do with the Democratic Party? Because the majority of police don't vote Democratic, not anywhere.
Right.
New Jersey,
right.
not anywhere. So what's up?
But they can target weak Democrats and work to get them out. I don't know, Jonathan, if you remember the Strawberry Daniels case. Do you remember that case?
I don't.
Strawberry Daniels was around 1997. It was right before Amadou Diallo. It was before Amadou Diallo, which was Diallo was 1997 or 98. Strawberry Daniels was shot to death in a police vehicle by a police person. She was shot in the head and killed on Chadwick and but I think it was between Chadwick on the corner of Chadwick and Clinton Avenue in Newark, and that's where Ras Baraka made a very strong show of force when he was leading the group Black Nia Force. They led a march down onto City Hall, and it was just by happenstance. I happened to be standing on the steps. I didn't even know about the march, right? I'm standing on the steps of City Hall for some other business, and here come like 500 people down Broad Street. And when I say 500, I mean 500. It was a huge crowd. And it was a huge crowd, and the march was in like during work hours. And we almost got a civilian review board. The city, the mayor, who was Sharp James at the time, and the city council was so shook up that Sharp James called a meeting of all the community leaders, gave us all binders full of articles on police review boards, and said, let's talk about setting up a police review board in Newark. Then what happened? The police in Newark pushed back. They actually had a demonstration in front of City Hall. We had a rally, and at that rally, Mildred Crump spoke, and Mildred Crump voiced her support for the police review board. And what happened? The police targeted Mildred Crump, and she lost her seat in the following municipal election. In fact, wow. I think, yes, the municipal election was that year. And I'm going to tell you something. Police, black and white, were in that demonstration in front of City Hall, and they targeted Mildred Crump, and she lost her seat. Now, she came back in the next municipal election. She aligned herself with Cory Booker, and, you know, Sharp James was indicted. He didn't run for re-election, and Booker gets re-elected, and Mildred Crump is elected on Cory Booker's team, and she becomes city council president. So,
but help me understand this, right? Like, so so when Mildred Crump lost the election in Newark,
yes,
the police union had enough power in Newark,
yes,
to oust a sitting council person.
Yes, they give money to the opposition. They give money to whoever you're running against you. They give money. They endorse. You know, they work. The police are not just a paramilitary force. They are a political force, and they exercise that. Why do you think we sitting here in the 21st century, and no major city in New Jersey has a police review board with subpoena power, and we just 9 miles away from New York City, which has had a police review board with subpoena power for almost 60 years?
So in that
because the police put pressure on the state legislature and got laws passed that would prevent
folks in New Jersey from doing exactly that.
So what you're saying is really that even though we have the numbers in terms of the votes, we just don't have the money and organization to be, because it seems like we have the numbers, but it seems like what you're saying is that what's needed is money and organization to be able to counter this, and which is part of the reason why you are marching.
Absolutely. You got to counter it. You got to, you got to counter it. If you don't counter it, they'll get their way. And remember, elections don't just turn on votes, they turn on money. Ask anybody that ran for office. Do you know you can put together a formula that can almost predict how many votes you're going to get based on how much money you have? It is that exacting. And now with the Citizens United decision of the Supreme Court, from about, I guess Citizens United now must be almost 10 years old, they can give as much money as they want to candidates. Now, there are election laws, but they're election finance laws, but they find their way around that. For instance, there might be a $2,500, I'm speaking hypothetically here, they might be a $2,500 limit on how much an individual can donate. But there's something called bundling, where companies and other entities can bundle together, like it comes out to 20 people, at $2,500 each. So in essence, it's still a $50,000 donation, and $50,000 can go a long way in terms of advertising for a political campaign. So that's who, because we're marching not only for the police reform bills in Jersey, we're also marching for the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act, which just got killed. Have you been following the news on this, Donna? That just yesterday, Cory Booker had a press conference saying that the negotiations have come to an end with Scott, the black Republican U.S. Senator from North Carolina, because the Republicans don't want to end qualified immunity. And who did they say was putting the pressure on the U.S. senators? The National Sheriff's Association. They said this. If you just go back and listen to the interviews and the press conference, they'll tell you, yeah, the Sheriff's Association have put a lot of pressure on the senators against eliminating qualified immunity. So I suspect it was not only the sheriffs, but it was probably all those organizations. We should never, ever, ever forget that the National Fraternal Order of Police, 330,000 members strong, endorsed Donald Trump in the 2016 election and the 2020 election.
And will in the 2024 election as well.
And brother, you said a mouthful just now, because Trump is making plans right now. He's the leading prospective candidate for the Republicans in the 2024 presidential election. And they're doing everything they can right now to attempt to steal the 2024 election.
When is this march, right? Like I know that you're always a thinker, a planner, and a strategist. And it's part of the reason for doing this march to expand on the types of organization that are needed to counter this. And just to be honest, right? Like, is there no hope of getting this bill passed, given what you said about the opposition, right? Given that you said that politicians are scared. They're so powerful they can take out a Newark council person in Newark because she supported a civilian complaint review board.
Right.
What is any type of solution that could counter that? And how does this march get us toward that?
Well, let us not make the march more than it really is. It's a march. It's a single event and it will not result in a significant political transformation. What the march will do, hopefully, is put the issue of the police review board with subpoena power bill back in the newspapers. I don't know how many people have noticed, but for the last several months, the issue of police brutality, except for the news about the recent breakdown of the negotiations around the George Floyd bill in Washington, which was yesterday, except for that, there hasn't been a lot of news on police brutality. And more than that, pundits have been speculating that Eric Adams' victory in New York was because he moved to the right and stopped talking about police brutality and started talking about crime. Now, you know, you can talk about crime and still be on the left. You know, there are left solutions to crime.
Right.
But there was a clear move by Adams to take his emphasis, because he was known as an outspoken person against police brutality, particularly because he's an ex-policeman.
Right.
But during his campaign, you know, his thrust was about he's going to get tough on crime. In fact, the left in New York was criticizing because they're saying that he's proposing to bring back stop and frisk in some form.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is why we have to follow elections in other places. We can't just look at the elections in our state. We have to look at what's happening in New York and other places around the country. Do you know right now that there's a Black woman socialist who won the primary in Buffalo, New York, and may be on her way to winning the general election in Buffalo, New York?
I'm reaching out to her. I'm trying to get her on the show.
I mean, that's amazing. I mean, she's openly run as a socialist, and she run on the platform against police brutality, which is a problem up there in Buffalo, and on and on and on. And she beat the incumbent. I think the 3-term or 4-term incumbent. She beat him. And, you know, for a minute, the party was in an uproar because they were thinking about not going, because usually who wins the primary becomes the party's candidate, right? She won the Democratic primary. And but they have made an accommodation. I wasn't there. I don't know what the agreement was, but they made an accommodation, and she's now going to be the Democratic Party candidate. And Buffalo is a Democratic town, so unless something unexpected happens, she should end up mayor of Buffalo. So, you know, we have to look at elections in other places. But this march that I'm doing is designed to—
Chairman, before you go forward, I just
go ahead.
Conrad, in our last show, one of the things that Conrad talked about was that we have to pay attention to the New York City race, because while people may think that it's a given, the candidate that he's running against, remember, he was a vigilante, if you would. He was a guardian angel. What was his name of his organization?
Sleewa.
Yeah, Guardian Angels.
It was the Guardian
Curtis
Angels.
Sleewa.
Yeah,
Curtis
right.
Sleewa.
And how we should not sleep on this or just think that it's a done deal, because here you almost got law, if you will, law enforcement against some type of law enforcement, if you will. You know.
Trust me when I tell you. Trust me. Put your money on this bet. Eric Adams is going to be the next mayor of New York City. Trust me when I tell you.
Oh, we agree on that, but
okay,
everybody still should go to the polls. That's what
absolutely.
I'm saying. Don't take it lightly. Yeah, don't take it. Yeah.
Sleewa is a racist reactionary. He is a Trumpist, and we should not be surrendering any electoral ground anywhere in this country to these racist and fascist Trump followers. And that's what Sleewa is. And that's what the Republican Party is. The Republican Party is now the party of Trump. It is the spearhead of white nationalism in the United States of America. Their project right now is to establish a form of white minority rule in this country through theft of the elections, because they can't win elections they can't win national elections anymore because the demographics is not with them anymore. So now, yes, we should come out and vote in that election in New York.
And when you're talking about the and just to segue that into what we're talking about with these elections coming up in November, and you're talking about how we're not talking about police brutality, and that you're doing this march to bring it in the news. If we give 94% of our vote, and we know that this civilian complaint review board is not going to happen, what, like, do we just take it? Like, we just
we don't know yet that it's not going to happen. The good news is, now, how would we know if it's not going to happen? We would know that it's not going to happen if it had not been released from committee. The bill has gone through the process. There were hearings, it was released to the committee, and the only thing that's left to do is for the speaker to put the bill up for a vote.
So really it's just about targeting the speaker. This is a one-person thing.
The speaker and the president of the assembly.
So the speaker and the president of the assembly are really the only people who are blocking this right now.
Well, let's put it this way. They are the ones that can bring the bill to the floor. Now, my suspicion is, because, think about it. Look at the background of a lot of the legislators. Do you know that a number of the legislators are ex-cops? You know how many ex-cops run for office? Or how many cops run for office? Now, cops have a democratic right to run for office. But trust me when I tell you, if you have cops in office, it's going to be a harder road to hoe to get police reform. This is why when the police review board was formed in Newark, they said cops can't be on it. Right? Zaid, are you with me on that? Are you there? Cops can't be on it.
No, he stepped out.
Okay. Cops can't be on it. So I suspect there probably are some Democrats that have reservations about the bill. But if the speaker wants that bill voted on, he can bring it to the floor. Now there will be a lame duck legislature. What is the lame duck? That's the legislature that exists after the election on November 2nd.
But Chairman, we shouldn't miss the opportunity that this Tuesday is the debate at NJPAC.
Right.
So there should be some type of organization, out in front, since both candidates, are going to be there, and we should put our issues up there to make sure that we're out in front, since the press is going to be there.
Donna, tell me what debate you're talking about. What debate between who? What's going to be at NJPAC?
The governor's debate for the governor, the office of the state of New Jersey, for the governor's race, the gubernatorial.
Right.
So that's this Tuesday. That's this Tuesday coming up at NJPAC, and we will have the press there and other persons that we probably should have some type of showing with our issues there, whether it be for the CCRB, whatever the issues may be, that we need to be up there, because everything that we need in terms of the press, both candidates is there to let them know what our issues are and put it front and center.
Well said, Donna. I agree with you 100%.
And thank you so much in terms of this segment. I see DJ Rhino is on, but Chairman Hamm.
That's my cue.
No, not wait, no, because you're welcome to stay, because we talk about music and you hang with us all the time, right? There's like you jumped in the last section and we loved it when you were in the section talking about Haiti because you're so knowledgeable. We know you love music, we love culture and the importance of all of that. So this is something that I just you know, DJ Rhino is here.
I went to school. I went to art high school. I went to school for music. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was your art. You were a singer, sir?
Well, something like that. I won't sing for you tonight, though.
So is there before we switch subjects though? Is there anything we need to know about the march to support you? We know we could just jump on and walk for a couple of blocks. Yeah, you're doing 67 miles, but we could do like 60 blocks or 6 blocks.
Right.
6 blocks. You said 60 blocks.
We could do 6.7 blocks.
6 blocks.
And we could do 6 blocks. We'd be like, yo, give me a hug.
Right. No, yeah, everybody, the thing to know about this march is that you can march as far or you can march as much or as little as you want. A block, I mean, if you just want to be at the kickoff rally, that's fine. If you want to walk a few blocks, that's fine. If you want to go the whole way, that's fine. It's all up to people, you know. And the main thing is that we're going to have, as I said, we're going to have rallies in certain cities, and we want people to be there for those rallies. The kickoff rally in Montclair, we want to try to have one in Newark when we hit Newark on Broad Street. We want to have one in Elizabeth. We want to have one in New Brunswick. We want to have one in Princeton. Well, yes, we want to have one in Orange. That's right. You know, we want one in Orange, Princeton and Trenton. And if you don't do anything, try to get to Trenton on Saturday. Be there at the end. If you can't be anywhere else, finish strong, right? You want to finish strong. I want to finish strong.
And remind everybody today the kickoff and the ending and the beginning.
Right. The kickoff is Monday, October 11th, 11 a.m. at the intersection of Church Street and Bloomfield Avenue in Montclair, New Jersey. That's the kickoff. And we'll be doing 10 to 12 days every day until Saturday, October 16th. We hope to hit Trenton by Saturday, October 16th, and have the end rally at the State House.
That's 5. You're going to do it in 5 days?
That's 5. That's 6 days.
The 11th to the 16th. That's 5 days.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
You included.
Each of the days are included, right?
Okay.
Right.
All right.
So we're Go ahead.
No, I was going to say thank you so much because that Saturday, that Trenton rally is where we want to make sure that everyone comes to because we've got to get this issue in the news again.
Right.
Well, and who are you listening to? Rhino, you, as we say, well, yeah, you get to ask Chairman Hamm the question.
Oh, Lord.
I already know Chairman Hamm is Gil Scott Heron all day.
Oh, all day. All day. But I want to say something. Is it time sensitive? Can I go back in the time machine and mention some people? Could I mention X-Clan? Y'all remember X-Clan?
Oh man, I was just talking about X-Clan today. I was just talking about X-Clan.
I love
Carter's son.
Yeah,
I love
X-Clan. Yeah, Lumumba Carson. I was just talking about him earlier.
They did a lot of P-Funk underneath their music.
And I'm gonna tell you something.
And
the message by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five.
Right.
That's still a classic, right?
Yeah.
Don't push me because I'm close to.
That's what set my generation's type of hip hop, man, was the message, the consciousness in the music. That's what set that off. That was like one of the first records to ever bring in social awareness. You know what I mean?
Right. Let me tell you, when hip hop first came out, I embraced it. I loved it. People don't know that Public Enemy actually did a show for People's Organization for Progress at George Washington Carver School in Newark. You know who organized it? Sister Soldier. Sister Soldier, back in the 90s, was a member of the People's Organization for Progress when she was a student at Rutgers University. She was leading the South Africa movement, and she got involved, and some of her partners got involved with Pop, and they said, well, what can we do? How can we support Pop? And we needed money. She said, well, I got connections with Chuck D. And Public Enemy was at George Washington Carver School in Newark, New Jersey. This had to be around maybe 1996. I think it was after it was before. It was before the Million Man March. So this might have been in the early 90s.
Okay.
You know, I used to, when I first heard Public Enemy, their music, you know what it was like to me? I thought of it as, you know, as abstract art is to conventional art. I thought that Public Enemy's music was like abstract music. It was like abstract art in music, you know, but they were still trying to bring a positive message. I mean, as crazy a character as what's brother's name that had the clock on his chest?
Flavor Flav.
Flavor Flav. But the clock on his chest had a meaning. You know what I'm saying? It was
you gotta know what time it is. You gotta know what time it is. Yeah,
that's right.
What time is it?
I won't say no more.
and you know that whole thing. You know what time is it? And then you think about Amiri Baraka. It's nation time. You know
that's right.
That was the whole theme of what Public Enemy was about and what they were coming from. And right. I remember seeing an interview with Chuck D, and he talked about how at the time music was getting real soft, and it was just all of these love songs and all of this R&B love songs, but there was nobody was making an impact.
Me and Soldier used to argue out there for days.
Yeah, so his Chuck D's whole mission was to be anti-music and just bring the noise. That was about bringing the noise and bringing the message with that noise.
And who was Chuck D married to Miss Melody?
No.
Who was
Chuck D married to Miss Melody?
I don't know who. He's not married to anybody that we know.
Well, who was Miss Melody? Okay, all right. Who was? Okay.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Miss Melody.
Yes.
And I'm tempted to say one more thing. We can't forget that cut that they made in the early '90s on Self-Destruction. They was all in that.
Yeah.
And you know who was one of my favorite guys? Cool Mo D. Where's Cool Mo D at? That was my man.
He had the best line in that song. He had the best line in that song when he said, "I never ever ran from the Ku Klux Klan, and I shouldn't have to run from a black man."
That's right. That's
That was
right.
the best line in the whole song. I still get chills from that line.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't have to run from a black man.
Rhino.
You headed for self-destruction.
Rhino, we gotta get
this old man riled up now. Look at that.
We gotta get to DJ Rhino and the Larry Hamm hour every 6 weeks. Chairman Hamm,
man, me and Rhino could kick it. We could kick it, man. See, y'all didn't know that. I never have a chance to talk about that part, right? You always ask me about the serious stuff.
Yeah.
Man, look,
that's what I like about being in the studio. We used to be able to have that time to get into the music too, though.
Right. Yeah. And even the fun stuff like Sugar Hill Gang. I was down with Sugar Hill Gang. Hotel, never mind.
All right, Larry, Chairman, what's your favorite lyric on Sugar Hill Gang? What was your favorite lyric?
Oh, I can't remember. The whole thing now. But I give a shout out. No, seriously, I give a shout out to X-Clan tonight because they were serious. They were fierce about trying to bring the message and bring Black consciousness through their music.
And they went deep with it because they were bringing messages of ancient Kemet into hip hop at that time. You know what I'm saying?
The way they would dress.
They were like the Earth, Wind, and Fire of hip hop. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
The Earth, Wind, and Fire was doing the same thing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And I just found out today because I was watching an old interview with Jungle Brothers. I just found out today that Brother Jay, who was the MC, the main MC from X-Clan, he started with the Jungle Brothers first before they made records. And then he went on to be part of X-Clan.
What was the show, Uncle? The music video
music box. Yeah,
you remember Video Music Box?
He's doing the documentary. He's doing
when I got home
for that time, that era.
When I got home from Princeton in '80, and I saw Video Music Box for the first time, and I saw X-Clan, I fell out my chair. I said, what? You know, and back then you could only get Video Music Box if you had a TV where you could switch to UHF,
channels,
right?
UHF, VHF, UHF.
Yeah, that was like those underground channels.
Yeah. All right.
but here's one for you, Rhino and Chairman. My aunt for my birthday, she got me tickets to see the Sugar Hill Gang down north, and it was the Paradiso.
Right.
The Paradiso. I seen the Sugar Hill Gang.
What was the brother from the Sugar Hill Gang? Well, didn't he pass recently?
Yeah, Big Bank Hank. Big Bank Hank. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I know his son, Al Tariq. Big ups to Al Tariq. His son Al Tariq is out here. He's in radio. He does music.
Rhino
too.
Rhino. I used to see them, man, when I used to hang out at Shadows in New York.
I remember
used to
Shadows.
see them at the club.
Wow.
No, they all of them would be coming through Shadows, man.
Yeah. Shadows used to be the spot.
Oh,
That
brother,
used to be the
tell
spot.
me about it. Tell me about it.
Wait, you get chairman start talking about his clubbing days. You said,
hey, we cannot be unidimensional. We got to be multidimensional human beings.
But Rhino, but chairman, like I'm born in '67, and I remember that club era. Like if I'm between 18 and 25. You know, we had Sensations, Zanzibar, like I said, Paradises.
Club 88.
There was so many clubs.
Club 88. Yep.
Club 88. It was so many clubs. If we can go back, Sultan's 2001 Odyssey. There was so many clubs back in that era, and I can remember down at Sensation seeing like LL Cool J for $10. I mean, just loose ends, the people that were,
and not only the big name clubs, but the neighborhood clubs. Rhino, you remember Eleganza?
Yeah,
Eleganza, yeah.
But
I remember Tambula.
Yeah,
I know that one, Tambula. But
the highest peak.
Yeah.
But
those are the old ones, man. Yeah, I remember those.
And I think they were doing a documentary one time on Zanzibar, but the lineup would be almost like an act would come through Sensations, and because Zanzibar closed the latest, I believe. So maybe they would come to Sensations and they would go on to Zanzibar.
Yeah, they finished up at Zanzibar.
Yeah, and it was like the people that came from Zanzibar, like Grace Jones.
Yes.
The acts, the Zanzibar has the Zanzibar had a history that is just a story. And they said so many artists came through Zanzibar and got their start there that is just phenomenal. That the stories, who was the DJ? Who was the house DJ at Zanzibar?
Oh, I don't remember.
They had a lot
was it Larry Levan?
Larry Levan was known at all of the clubs. Okay. Like Larry Levan was the classic DJ back then in that era where all the clubs wanted Larry.
And I would say actually the Garage was the one that closed the latest because the Garage didn't close until 12. Yeah, the Garage didn't close until 12 noon the next day. I don't think.
Yeah.
And Rhino, I know that you have I noticed the shirt, right? Like, is there anything going on with that? Because usually your shirt is usually about.
Yeah, the shirt. You see the shirt. I got the Low End Theory, Tribe Called Quest. Today is the 30th anniversary of a Tribe Called Quest. This was their sophomore album, the Low End Theory. This is the one that really broke ground and took them all across the globe because they really got into the heavy bass sounds, the jazz bass sounds. I mean, they had people like Ron Carter playing live on this album. You know that Ron Carter is a classic jazz bassist from back in the Blue Note days and stuff. Mm-hmm. And they had people like him. They had Roy Ayers. Yeah, they had Roy Ayers on the album. They had they really got into their funk and their jazz on this album, and it was heavy bass. I remember when it first came out, it was a big thing about the vinyl because the vinyl they only put it out on import on vinyl. You couldn't get it on regular vinyl. So this album was a real big deal. Rest in peace to Phife Dawg, because this was also his breakthrough album. Also, remember I was talking last week about how people treated Phife Dawg, people treated like Vinnie Brown from
Naughty by Nature.
Naughty by Nature. They treated them like they were like just like sidekicks or whatever. But this was the album where Phife Dawg really showed himself. Like the song "Bugging Out," he had a song called "Butter." Phife Dawg just really showed himself all throughout this album, man. He really did his thing, and he showed himself to be the other MC and not just a sidekick to Q-Tip. You know what I mean? But this album was groundbreaking, super groundbreaking. 1991, September 24th, this album came out, and it reminds me of a time when I don't know if you guys remember a men's clothing store called National Brands Outlet. It was called NBO.
Yeah.
I used to work at NBO in New York City in Manhattan. And I remember just getting off of work and putting my Walkman on and throwing this tape. I had this cassette in the Walkman and just throwing it on and just hearing, you know, the first song was a song called Excursions. But hearing that song and then hearing, you know, the album top to bottom was bananas, and it just took you into, you know, this is when hip hop really just you could escape with hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And you know, you could escape because they would break down just the visuals. You would see what they were talking about. Like Q-Tip really he really painted the picture of what was going on, and it went well with the music because, like I said, the music was real jazz influenced, and it was just a great album. It was a great experience, and all of their albums were great experiences. Tribe Called Quest is one of the most classic groups in the culture of hip hop today, and I just want to say to them, man, and happy anniversary to the Low End Theory, because this artwork has been used in so many things. There's been so many variations of this artwork, this red, black, and green artwork, and this character. It's been used in so many different variations, and just all.
Can you give us the history on that character? Was that created strictly for this album?
Yeah, this was the album cover. This was actually the album cover of that album.
Because that's classic.
Yeah, this is classic artwork.
Doing that all the time.
Yeah. And they've had sisters come out on stage with their bodies painted in red, black, and green like this, you know, coming out, you know, as part of the show, throwing up signs and lyrics and stuff like that. Like they've done all kinds of different stuff, man, with this character and with this artwork, man. But they're really like a hip hop jazz band, you know what I mean? And so respects to Tribe Called Quest, and again, rest in peace to Phife Dawg.
Is there? I know we're running out of time. I know we only have a few minutes left. So
one more thing, I just want to end it on this. You know, I know. You know, the theme, the heavy theme today on the show was Haiti, and you know, we're in the hip hop segment right now. I want to say big ups to the Fugees. Word is that the Fugees, Wyclef Jean, Croswell, and Lauryn Hill, Miss Hill, have gotten together to reunite to go on tour as the Fugees. So big ups to the Fugees, our own Jersey's own.
They'll be at NJ
and they're going to be at NJ Pack coming up November 26th.
Yeah.
Right here in Newark at the Convention Center.
They like the hip hop Beatles, right? They like the hip hop Beatles. Everybody wanted them to get back together, right? They broke up, and people were wanting them to get back together for years.
Yeah. Seriously, man. So this is going to be a big deal just to see the Fugees come back, man. And you know, I know Jersey's happy, man, and you know everybody's happy, man. Hip hop is happy, music is happy to see them come back together. Because again, like you said, John, we've been waiting for this. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You know, Nas's King's Disease 2 album is gone off the charts. I'm sure that's going to probably get a Grammy too, like the first one. Just off of that song Nobody that featured Lauryn Hill on there, because everybody was waiting to hear Lauryn Hill say something in rhyme form. You know, it's like Latifah. We hear Latifah sing all the time, but we want to hear her rap. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it was with Lauryn Hill. We wanted to hear her rap, and we got to hear some of that on Nas's album, on King's Disease 2, the song called Nobody, where she really expressed herself and just where she's at in life right now. So that was good to hear.
Yeah, and, she killed that. Nobody.
Yeah. So it's gonna be good to hear what kind of, you know, if she does any extra bonus stuff, you know, in these showcases, you know, on tour, see what kind of stuff she does. Because that's a creative group, man. Fugees was always very creative. Right. You know what I mean? And you know, they're musical, like they actually play instruments and stuff also. You know,
remember Wyclef, and he did like the Saturday Night Live theme.
Yeah.
Like he's just so Wyclef is real. He's an artist. He is truly an artist. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. And he definitely makes sure that he's considered an entertainer.
And we got one more minute, but I know, shout out to Wyclef, because I went back and we watched Dave Chappelle, the Block Party, and had Lauryn Hill, and she brought the Fugees in because the radio label wouldn't let her play her music. But oh man, okay. Well, going forward, we're glad to announce tonight about the Lawrence Hamm and the Rhino Hour every 6 weeks.
Yep.
We got to make that happen.
Absolutely. That's why I was like, no, Chairman Hamm, no, just stay on. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be all right. It'll work out.
Yeah, and we got to make sure we got Zaire for that too, because Zaire always throws in the activist, revolutionary activist part of it, man. He gives you that info.
He's your hype man. He'll be your hype man.
He gives you that background. He gives you that background.
He's gonna be your hype man.
Because let me tell you, speaking of Public Enemy, remember when Public Enemy had Harry Allen? They called him the hip hop assassin. Assassin, man. And he was that guy, man. He was like the man with the information. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta always have that.
We're at the last minute, and really quick, we're gonna do a real quick. Any announcement, Chairman Hamm? Any announcements? No announcement. But you got to
I want to announce tomorrow we will be commemorating the life of Amanifu Williams, who was a member of the Refile organization and the People's Organization for Progress. And those two organizations are jointly sponsoring his commemoration, which will be at the Refile headquarters tomorrow, Saturday, September 25th, 2:00 p.m. at 271 South 9th Street in Newark, near the corner of South 9th Street and 13th Avenue. Now, the seating will be limited to 100 people, 75 in one room and 25 in the other because of the COVID concerns, but it will be virtual. So you can't or do not want to come to the in-person commemoration. You can watch it on Facebook on the People's Organization for Progress Facebook page, starting at 2 p.m. And I think it's going to go till about 5 p.m., 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Brother Amanifu was an unsung hero, and he was involved in just about every major phase of the Black liberation movement, from the civil rights movement to the Black cultural nationalist movement to the Black workers movement. He was an auto worker and leader of his union. And finally, with Refile, he helped to build that organization. And he really helped in these latter years to build the People's Organization for Progress also.
Thanks, Chairman. Zaid, any announcements?
Yes, speaking of Long March, mine is nowhere nearly as long as what he.
I was going to say we over time. Just trying to.
Sunday is the 21st anniversary. This is Domestic Violence Front. Is that piece? And Sunday is the 21st Brides March. 21 years ago, a Latina sister was getting ready to get married, and her jealous boyfriend literally shot her at a wedding in a wedding dress and killed her. And the response to that was incredible, and one of the responses was the creation of this march of women wearing brides' outfits in white, right? Men wearing black in solidarity to reflect the solemn dimensions of what it was all about, to condemn domestic violence. I'll be participating in that in New York City, and that'll just be about 65 New York blocks. All right. Coming from Washington Heights, Holy Rod Church, and Washington Heights, 179th Street, Del Barrio, to the People's Church on East 106th Street in East Harlem. That'll be Sunday morning at 9:30.
Okay. Rhino, any announcement about you going to be DJing on Twitch?
I'll be on twitch.tv tomorrow, so check for me tomorrow on twitch.tv/RhinoCMZ at 3 p.m. I'm going to be on there. It's called The Shake Up with CMZ at 3. Again, check me out. It's twitch.tv/RhinoCMZ 3 p.m.
And I will close just by saying this is radio's number one. Go ahead, Jonathan. Number one.
Hey, we're done for this week, and be careful, safe for next week. But yep, the number one.
Shout out to all of our guests. We can't go
Yes.
through all the names, but our guests, we had a great panel. So thank everybody that showed up today and showed out. And our hearts continually go out for Haiti.
Absolutely. Thanks to the disciples and the activists we had on. I learned a lot. So until next week.